Going live. Done. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Good evening and welcome for today's session. Yes. The previous session, it stretched a bit. That's why I came huffing, puffing, running, and that's how I just reached almost in time. Almost 2.5 minutes late by the time I just reached here. So, I reached in time, but I went to the washroom. That took the 2.5 minutes because that was also essential so that I don't take the break in between. All right, people. So, did you go through the notes? So, my pleasure, Labdi. You are benefiting from the notes. That is coming as a great help and relief. So, we are going to reflect upon attitude. So, yesterday we started with this topic of attitude, and as we went through it, I gave you the definition, what is attitude, the overview associated with attitude, and then after connecting it with the definition of attitude, we started discussing that how the attitude which is associated with three segments. Remember, in the first session we had discussed about attitude, that it is cognitive plus emotion plus past experiences creating attitude. Remember that. So cognition was based on beliefs. After cognition, which was based on beliefs, the second dimension was emotion. Emotion with cognition created values, and emotion plus cognition, that was values, with when added to past experiences, that led to attitude. Remember all that I had discussed previously. So explaining that, in previous session, yesterday, I discussed the difference between belief and attitude, how belief was based on facts of the case or the cognition, and how attitude was associated with our, we can say, the emotional aspect, right? Our emotional connectivity, the feeling per se. Now, with respect to this, yesterday we reflected upon, we can consider the components, right? The components, or we can say components or content associated with the CAB model, that is cognitive, affective and behavioral model. With respect to the cognitive, affective and behavioral model, I gave you the example of Nawazuddin Siddiqui and Salman Khan, that how both the actors have a different impact in terms of the cognitive, affective and behavioral aspect, which determines my attitude towards them. If a movie is releasing, it is affecting my choice, how I would be responding to the situation, to the movie accordingly. Yes, some immediate situations can influence influence my choices. So I gave you the example related to Salman Khan, that how I personally do not like the script he chooses or the overacting he does. So that's the factual aspect. The emotional aspect is I have got bored every time I have tried to watch his movies. I'm unable to survive it even for free on the TV. So the affective aspect, the emotional aspect has been bored or dissociated, and the behavioral aspect, the past experiences have also not been so fruitful, so I desist watching his movies. But there is a twist in the situation. I told you that my cousins have come and they want to behave like hooligans in the movie hall by occupying a corner and giving counter dialogues to his dialogue, dance over the issue, right? And I said that in that situation, I'm motivated to enjoy their company and be there for the sake of my cousins rather than Salman Khan. So the response, the final human behavior, the final human response can also differ because of the situations. So the final human behavior is determined by two things: the situation as well as the attitude that is there. So attitude plus situation is determining the final response. Can we also give these kind of examples, or do we have to stick to some examples related to service? No, not necessarily. You can just give certain examples, because see, when cognitive, behavioral and affective aspects are asked, there are so many segments which we have started with yesterday, which we would be reflecting upon. So cognitive components are associated with stereotypes. So we build stereotypes when we have insufficient information, facts are not supported enough, then we build stereotypes. I gave you a lot of examples of it. Stereotype is different from prejudice. Prejudice is based on emotion, right? So I said that prejudice is when there is a negative feeling towards someone or something. So the negative feeling plus stereotypes plus the tendency to discriminate creates prejudice. So prejudice is the emotive aspect, hence it is associated with affective dimension. So after cognitive, we can associate it with affective subsegment when we are reflecting upon the same. And then the third segment comes, that is behavioral component. When we are reflecting upon the behavioral component, we all can see that what can quantify, what can help us to connect with the behavioral subsegments. And when we are reflecting upon the same, so behavioral is associated with past experience. So if past experience is not fruitful, that is something which leads to a sense of discrimination. That is something which leads to the dimension of not having a positive like insight towards a community or a person. And when negative emotions are generated along with past experiences and discrimination articulates itself, that can lead to isolation or exclusion of a community. If a community is isolated or excluded, that can lead to elimination or genocide, right? So that's what we all can connect with. And I gave you the example of Hitler, if all of you can recall. So I gave you the example of Hitler, and any mass genocide that has been carried forward in any we can say time period of human history, we can relate with this chart, how it like articulates itself, how it unfolds itself. In case of case studies, the possibilities are given, we have to choose correct one comparatively and explain the reasons. Yes, Prashant, very true. That is what was explained yesterday, and that is what you have to put in action when you are reflecting upon the case study. So prejudice is far big than stereotype. There are so many things that add with it. Sarashti, it's not far big. Stereotype is associated with factual aspects going wrong, not having sufficient information about factual aspect. Stereotype is when we are talking about like stereotype, so stereotype is associated with the factual aspect. Prejudice, on the other hand, prejudice is associated with negative feeling we possess, negative feeling with again stereotypes, the previous one, and the next one, discrimination. So prejudice is that sense of discrimination, that sense of like I would say negative feeling we have towards a community or a person. Okay, so it's associated with cognitive affective subsegments, Sarashti, when we speak of it. Audio not audible, audio not audible is like audio is audible, it's at your end. अब इसको कैसे समझाएं? SME, please support me with Nitesh's query because it needs to be typed and explained. Yes, so that's how you were explained yesterday. We are going to start with cognitive, affective, and behavioral components and the relationship between that, like three, right? Rohingya crisis can also be an example. Yes, any form of discrimination, articulating itself that a community is isolated, excluded, and experiencing discrimination, any community can qualify as an example for this. Okay, so at our end, the voice is clear. There should be no problem of voice. So, some echo problem, I don't know how to sort the echo problem. Is the echo problem with everyone? Okay, Abhishek, it's clear. Fine. So I think it's clear for majority. Some two, three, no problems, no problems. All right, all right, fine. So when there is no problem and almost everyone is saying that, the two, three students who are experiencing this problem, please go ahead with refreshing your system. Maybe that can help. So let us start with the relationship between CAB component. Fine. So let us start with this given dimension. Okay. So this much was explained so far. Yesterday we had reflected upon it. Now the fun fact is, when we are going to build upon the basic concepts, because if you are able to recall the previous day's concept, you can connect it with today's subsegment, then only you can build upon it. Okay, so let us start. Yes, Kuki and Maiti community is also experiencing discrimination, Ganesh. All right. In Islamic countries, Shias and Sunnis, yes, you can connect with that as well. Fine. Now, as we are talking about this given subsegment, the relationship between CAB components. Okay, so let us first and foremost start with the chocolate cake. Looks very good, gooey, saucy, chocolatey, very nice. You feel like taking a bite, especially if you like chocolate flavor. Now, see, When we are talking about the cognitive, affective, and behavioral aspects associated with the chocolate cake, so the cognitive aspect, the cognitive is related to facts. So the fact is like it is loaded with calories, it is very rich, it will taste good, but it will cause weight increase within a short span of time if someone is not exercising that diligently, taking care of the calorie count. So the cognitive aspect will encourage to have limited portion, okay, and not indulge in the cake per se. The affective aspect will be like, yeah, it's looking so good, let me just have a nice bite of it. I'm not going to eat cake almost on a daily basis, I'm not having access to cakes on a daily basis, so why to like get so affected. And the affective segment is also saying that it's okay, one day if I'm eating, it won't make a big difference. Okay. Or how about the possibility that if I'm liking something, let me just enjoy it, or let me just celebrate it. Okay. So that's associated with the affective subsegment, right? When we are talking about it. So um, that's associated with, we can say, the emotions that get generated. Then comes the behavioral aspect. Every time I have eaten a chocolate cake in the past, I felt so happy. There's so much of happiness. The world looks brighter. Everything looks like energized. It just cheers me up, right? So something like that. So cognitive, affective, behavioral, when we are reflecting upon it. So like, let's say the facts of the situation, when we are talking about the cognitive aspect, the fact related to the chocolate cake. So suppose there are five negatives. The affective aspect, like why I like it, or what is something that I really enjoy about the cake. So it's like, again, I have, like, let's say 4 points associated with the positives. Okay. And the experience aspect of the past. Okay, so past experience has also been like good as well as bad. So like negative, because weight increase hua on birthday, whenever I have finished off my cake, polished off my cake. So all good cakes I hide that, so that my friends don't finish it off or smear on my face. And the average cakes I give them to smear on my face or to finish it off. So the good cupcakes or cakes which are left, which I polish off myself, it has always led to weight increase. I'm not joking. Okay, I'm just saying it on a serious note. And positive aspect is that every time I have had it, it has cheered me up. Okay, so cheers up, right? So with respect to this, when we are talking about it, this is not like encouraging us to recall our favorite food items like samosa, Vijay. Okay, so that way everyone will start declaring their favorite dishes. And it's not necessary I might be liking a chocolate cake, but I'm just saying that, like, this is how, when we are like reflecting upon the given segment, right? So cognitive, affective, behavioral. And thank you for the concern, Vivek. My birthday, well, I can share because it's not coming right now. So it's like 11th January. So that's how. Okay. Now, so with respect to this, when, oh, Nirmala, you remember? That's so sweet. Thank you. So when we are speaking of this cognitive, affective, behavioral, oh, you must be remembering because I taken off that day. I always taken off. That's also there. So because I don't feel like working on my birthdays, it should be celebrated. That's like my day. So yeah. So when we are speaking of it, oh, interesting, Sachin, that we share birthdays together. Now let's get back to the topic. So cognitive, affective, behavioral. So there are 5 points which are negative, 4 points which are positive. Past experience has also been mixed. So this will create a mixed emotion. Okay, mixed emotion. And because of which weak attitude gets created. Weak attitude means whether I will eat or not eat, that comes under a dilemma. So suppose there are more positive points, that it is cheering me up, giving happiness. I feel that I'm in a good mood. Recently I was sad or very tired. So having a chocolate cake will be like really nice. So if I have more like positives and less negative, then there is a high chance I'll have the cake. Okay. And but with a sense of guilt, that there will be cognitive dissonance, but with a sense of guilt. But if there are more negatives, that, oh, it has led to weight increase, or for someone it has been an issue of diabetes, or for someone it has been issue related to something like a toothache or something like that, whatever. So for those people, we will see that the cognitive aspect will dominate. So despite the positives of chocolate cake being there, the person may refrain from eating the cake. Okay, so that's why there is weak emotions and weak attitude is generated. Think about it with respect to Krishna CAB. What is CAB? For that, you need to be present since yesterday. Last, like yesterday's last 45 minutes, you have missed. Congratulations for that. Okay, today's 20 minutes also you have missed. Sorry for that also, because I explained what is CAB. That's cognitive, affective, and behavioral. I won't repeat the entire detail of it, but simply put, cognitive is related to our thought, facts, okay, logic. Affective is related to emotion, and B is behavioral is related to past. All right, past experiences. But it is advisable, please don't miss the sessions, and please cover the sessions if you miss it, so that you don't struggle in understanding the basic concepts, because this is going to further, spin in a more tough proposition in the forthcoming minutes. All right, and this is advisable to all the students who have a tendency to miss the session and not go ahead with revising the component. So yesterday I gave example of how India performed pathetic in multidimensional poverty, and yes, that was Sania. Do you remember this, that I said about 2010? Okay, always remember the facts in full, otherwise you will suffer from stereotypes. Remember what is stereotypes? Remembering facts incorrectly or insufficiently. So then you build stereotypes. I said that 2005-6 National Family Health Survey was taken up in 2010 to build multidimensional poverty index, and that came as a surprise for the world, because MPI said that the total number of poor living in India is far greater than all 24 African nations clubbed together. So the world was like, oh my God, it was like that. Okay. So, and then what happened when once India realized that its National Family Health Survey, which is improving the global ranking, and National Family Health Survey is like domestic byproduct, means we are the ones who are collecting the data. So thus started the game. So 2015-16 National Family Health Survey 4 data was collected, which improved our ranking in 2018. Again, National Family Health Survey data was collected in 2020-2021, and the 2021 data that was collected, the Niti Aayog refreshed the report of multidimensional poverty index last year in 2022, and 2023 we expect like UNDP to come up with it. But UNDP in the month of January did make a profound statement that the rate with which India made a progress between 2005 to 2015-16 on the basis of National Family Health Survey and Multidimensional Poverty Index. With an even much faster rate, India has progressed between 2015-16 to 2021. So now the question is, has it really progressed that fast, especially when COVID had come in between, demonetization happened in between? Right after 15-16 we were hit with demonetization and then COVID, two big stumbling blocks to our development. So is it possible that we actually developed at a much faster pace compared to the development between 2005-6 to 2015-16? Or has the sample survey been manipulated? Or have we collected the sample from much healthier and more balanced regions, households, which are relatively in a healthy condition, so that our overall ranking improves internationally? All that also comes under scanner when we speak of it. All right. So I hope all of you are understanding this, Sania, and not just Sania, others also. Never misquote people and never hear partially. Be a keen listener and become a sharp bureaucrat. Listen to the entire information in a wholesome manner. Remember it in a wholesome manner. Otherwise, anyone can slip into stereotypes, or we can say faulty impressions about the wholesome idea. Okay. Multidimensional poverty index will be discussed when poverty is discussed. Okay, so there is a, like, I'm waiting for UNDP to respond once again related to it. So let's not mix chapters, let's get back to what we were discussing. I gave the example just to give you an idea that how our perceptions change. So our prejudice related to, when we are talking about like stereotype, I gave the example that our stereotypical image about Africa is this. But the truth about Africa compared to India in 2010 related to MPI was that in terms of data. Okay. Now, I don't know how many of it has responded today. Okay, all right. So I don't know how many of you have actually gone through the details of development of various countries, even in Africa. Few of the countries are so very progressive compared to India. So again, when we are talking about stereotypes, that's how we can connect with. So when we are talking about this given dimension pertaining to the CAB model, cognitive, affective, and behavioral model, we all can see, like for example, for bitter gourd. So bitter gourd, many people don't like it. So for those people who don't like it, okay. So positive aspects, when we are talking about cognitive aspect, factual aspect, so like let's say in factual aspect there are a lot of positives about bitter gourd. It's good for health, it is also helping in not getting the cancer cells, it is good for detoxifying the body, purifying the blood, all right, it's good for, yes, diabetes patients as well. So you can think of positives, and then you are thinking of the negative aspect, that I don't like the taste. Suppose someone doesn't like, so the person doesn't like the taste, doesn't like find it good in its shape, or the look is not very inviting. So as a child, child is saying that the skin of the bitter gourd looks like that of a crocodile, so calls it crocodile vegetable, it and says that I don't like crocodile vegetable, something like that. Okay. So when we are talking about such possibilities, okay, so positives are also there related to health, there are negatives also associated with it in terms of the taste and all that. So the behavioral aspect, what has been the past experience? So like let's say past experience has been this, that every time someone has served bitter gourd, you have either not eaten it, or you have eaten a part of it and left the rest. So you have not really liked it. Suppose someone is experiencing that. So in this case also, what can we see? In this case also, a possibility of, we can consider a mixed emotion getting generated. All right. So that's also there. So this is there. We can consider this aspect creating a mixed emotion. So mixed emotion. And mixed emotion will generate what? Weak attitude. Okay. So weak attitude when we are talking about it. So like like let's say in this given situation, when we are talking about this, I can also give you one more new term, that is ambivalent. Ambivalent. So ambivalent or being ambivalence, what is ambivalence when we are speaking of this given term which is there in your syllabus? So ambivalence, okay, all right, fine. So when we are speaking of this term associated with ambivalence, what does it imply and how can we connect it with the present subsegment? So like let us say here is like an image of a girl and a boy. Let us consider they are going to the college, okay? And a morning batch student was also informing the name, it's Hage Maru. So I'm like, okay, whoever the child is, let us just consider that here is a child who is like so we are not getting into the discussing the name of this person. Okay, we are just into the segment of discussing the concept right now. So here let us consider that there is this girl, like let's call her Bubbly here. Okay, and like let's consider this boy, he is Bunty. And what is there, that they have survived 1 year of friendship in college. Okay, so 1 year of friendship in college. Now, how ambivalent attitude gets created, let us understand that. Okay, so let us consider certain subsegments. So positive, negative, and like let us say cognitive, affective, behavioral. All right, so let us reflect upon this given segment. So cognitive is, like cognitive means the factual aspects. So suppose like this boy says that or feels that like Bubbly is, like when we are talking about the relationship between Bunty and Bubbly, so Bunty is liking Bubbly and he is thinking whether I should propose her or not. Okay, it's been 1 year of friendship, and I really like her. So like how to go about with the course of action later. So like let's say Bunty is feeling about Bubbly that, oh, she is a very cute girl, so she is good looking, she is beautiful, whatever. And then he sees that she is also tall, so she has got a very good height. And like she is also preparing for the same exam, so preparing for same competition, so preparing for same competition. So he is motivated by some kind of facts. Then there is a negative fact associated with it, or like let's say, let me, preparing for the same exam, father is IPS, so very well connected family, so IPS father. Okay, now like let us say, when we are talking about the negative aspects, the negative facts of the case. So Bunty is realizing, first fact is that he is like not so tall, so he's little shorter than her. So the girl is like let's say 5'4", the boy is 5'3". Okay, so his height is short. Then he is realizing that he is not so good in studies, so academically he is not so good. So how will he compete with her in the competition? And third thing is, when he is thinking of family background, so he's like, her father is an IPS but my father is clerk. Okay, so facts of the case are these for him, the cognitive aspect when we are talking about it. So now this boy, this is Bunty's thought. Okay, Sahil, it's not my thought, so we cannot categorize it into stereotypes or prejudice or discrimination. We'll just keep it fact as fact, what Bunty is thinking factually, what are the positive aspects according to him factually, and what are the negative aspects according to him factually. All right, now affective aspect, when we are discussing about it, so in affective dimension, he is thinking that every time I see her I feel happy, so happy to see her, right? And when it comes to negative emotion, so he has heard that Bubbly has said that my father has threatened to kill anyone who tries to date me. So father's threat to kill if someone is dating the daughter. So in case of dating the daughter, it is risk to life. All right, so this is the emotional aspect. Now the behavioral aspect. So Bunty is recalled of like the past experience. So in the past when he was in school, so he was in a relationship, and as he was in a relationship, the complaint reached the parents and he was beaten up. Okay, so beaten up black and blue by the parents of that girl. So in that situation we all can see that the past experience was negative. Now and the negative aspect with respect to when we are speaking of it. Okay, and so sorry, negative मैंने पहले लिख दिया, that was like jumping the gun, I should not have. So just a second. So first the positive past and then the negative aspect. So like let's say the positive experience associated with Bubbly is that he has been in a friendship. So friendship, we can consider, has been there for 1+ year. So that's the positive thing, that now they know each other. There is a lot of strength in their relationship in terms of cordial relationship, understanding each other, whatever. And the negative aspect is that his past relationship in school led to beating. So past relationship in school, he was beaten up by the girl's parents. Okay, the ex's parents. Now in this situation there are a lot of positives and lot of negatives. This lot of positives, okay, so ambivalence is when there are a lot of positives and a lot of negatives. So a lot of positives and a lot of negatives, they add to the emotion being called ambivalent. Okay, that is how we can connect it with ambivalent. Okay, so when we are speaking of this given dimension, I mean, here also like cognition, when we are talking about it, so love, love, people say that love is blind. Why do they call love is blind? For the simple reason, you don't use reasoning, you don't use cognition, you don't use the C factor, you use the A factor, affective. The affective model is something which is like creating the possibility for you, right? So the cognitive dimension is something which is not affecting. Why are you so emotional, Vijay? Why are you like constantly writing break up, break up, break up? I mean, like, has there been some, I would say, crisis that you have experienced, that you want the manifestation of it in the larger world? So let us, like, poor kids, they are that too in, we can say, imaginary world. So let us at least them be happy in the imaginary world, right? Now, so when we are talking about this given possibility associated with cognitive, affective, and behavioral aspect, building upon the basics, we all need to understand that this, like, when we are reflecting upon this entire segment, this ambivalence and weak attitude, which I was discussing, mixed emotions and mixed emotions leading to weak attitude, and then connecting it with ambivalence when there is a lot of positives and a lot of negatives. So on this basis, you can understand that the components, okay, so the components of CAB model have a synergized relationship, okay, when we speak of it, when an individual possesses positive beliefs about an attitude object, it can be a person, an object, whatever, cake, karela, or bitter gourd, whatever you consider it to be, okay. So when a person possesses a positive belief, okay, or positive facts, cognitive facts about, like, we can say, an attitude object, then there are positive affective, means positive emotions are also can be there. So positive affective and behavioral associations with the object, okay, behavioral associations with the object, okay, though it is not always true, because there can be weak attitude also, or there can be mixed attitude in terms of ambivalence as well, okay. So though it is not always true. Why it is not always true? Because it is not always true because despite having a positive emotion, positive facts clear in our mind, still there can be some cognitive aspect of, or behavioral aspect, which is negative, because of which in the heart of the heart a negative emotion is created. Can love be positive with regard to partner? As, oh, all right. All right, fine, Jadhav. So the concern that you are raising, that can one be in love, and love be positive to a partner? See, I told you, Jadhav, remember when I was discussing ethics in private relationship? So if you remember the points of ethics in private relationship, what Adler was saying, what Mahatma Gandhi was saying. So when there is a deep sense of respect, harmony, understanding, adjustment, that is something which is love. And love is a benevolent concept. It can be towards parents. It's not necessarily that it is only in romantic relationships. It can be towards anyone and everyone, your neighbors. It can be associated with strangers. It can be associated with random people you come across, like on a busy street on a busy day. Okay. It can be associated with the larger society. It can be associated with the nation state. So when we are talking about this idea of love and appreciation, it has a broader impact in private life, because the people are there constantly with us, or staying constantly with us. So there has to be there, if there is cost benefit analysis, then hormones are at play, not love per se, okay, Jadav. So now, when we are further, like, trying to understand the relationship between CAB models, CAB components, we can connect it also with the structure. the structure of attitude. So I believe everyone can connect with the relation between CAB model, that how the relation can be also like weak attitude or it can be ambivalent attitude, right? So we will be building upon this given component further in terms of structure of attitude. So I advise everyone, I really sincerely request and advise everyone, please go through the material that I'm constantly posting, getting it posted in your ARM section. Those students who have yet not started, whether it is foundational values for civil services or the chapter related to attitude, with it's an earnest request from my side, please start reading it. Your basic concepts will start building profoundly. More insights and dimensions will get clearer along with the lecture that I'm giving you and the concepts which I'm writing, noting on the board. All right. So, what is written before related? Related? Where is related written? I'll have to cross check. What is written before relate? I just cannot. Pragati, you'll have to say the subtopic under which you are saying, because then I'll keep hunting down where is the word related written. And all right. So, ma'am, can we take the example of Arjuna here, that he had mixed emotion and weak attitude? Yes, 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 Harshita. Very good. That's also the way you can connect. That's the beauty. Once the theory starts getting clear for all of you, once the theory starts getting established, you can connect it with like a lot of incidents which have happened in the past or which are happening around you. That's how you build the concepts. All right. So the word before relationship, again the word relationship, synergized. Okay. Okay. Fine. So now, with respect to this, as we are going to like start with the structure of attitude. Okay. So structure of attitude, when we are going to build upon it, let us get connected to it. So these are positive evaluations and these are, let us consider, negative evaluations. With respect to positive and negative evaluation, let us consider something like, okay. So with respect to it, when we are talking about the positive and negative evaluations, you understand positive and negative evaluations, right? So you are having some positive cognitive facts, you are having some positive affective facts, getting it? So affective emotions or feelings, so combination is going to create like some positive evaluation and negative evaluation. Now with respect to this, what gets built? It is our attitude that gets built. So this is our attitude. Can you draw this diagram in the exam? You can. All right. And you should, because that will give you more marks. So when we can consider that this very segment 5 and 5 gets created when you have 5 points negative and when you have 5 points positive related to a given thing or a situation or a person. So 5 positive points, 5 negative points. Okay. So 5 plus 5 minus. So this is going to create what? Neutral. Neutral we can consider a neutral attitude is what gets created. Similarly, like let me say, if we are connecting it with, okay, let us consider the segment is associated with 10 and 10, 10 positives and 10 negative points. Okay, so in that situation, we all see that when 10 positives and 10 negatives are there, in that situation, what will get created? Ambivalent attitude. I told you a lot of positive, a lot of negative creates ambivalent attitude. So, ambivalent attitude when we are speaking of it. Okay, like what is ambivalent attitude? When I have to explain this to you, so like let us say your like dimension associated with like let's say before Anna Hazare's movement, before Anna Hazare's movement. So before Anna Hazare's movement, your attitude, not your, because you were very tiny, so I have to remove this component of your. So before Anna Hazare's movement, people of India, let me connect it with like this. So before Anna Hazare's movement, people were neutral towards corruption. They were like having some negative points that it is harmful for the system, but sometimes it is easy to get their work done when they are in a stuck situation to surpass the order. So all that. So movement people were neutral towards corruption, neutral towards corruption, right? Because people had less awareness, had less awareness and information. Okay, information. Okay, but then what happened after the movement? After the movement, we all can see that after the movement, their attitude shifted from their attitude shifted from neutral to ambivalent. So their attitude shifted from neutral to ambivalent. And why did it shift to from neutral to ambivalent? Because we can see in ambivalent, you have a lot of positives and a lot of negatives. So you are now more informed about types of corruption, and more informed about how it is also easing the process for those who are in power. Okay, so with respect to this, when we are talking about it, so in ambivalent we can like this SME, please support me with minor queries if students raise it. So when we are speaking of this given dimension in ambivalent, we need to understand that in ambivalent, an individual an individual is is troubled about what kind of attitude to possess. Okay, about what kind of attitude to possess towards something, because now there are a lot of positive points and a lot of negative points that you have towards something. Okay, so what kind of attitude to possess towards something or someone, right? So it is a state of unrest, a state of unrest, or we can say it is also a state of confusion that whether I should move towards the positive aspect or move towards the negative aspect. Okay, so when there is limited knowledge, that's what all of you are understanding this. So when there is limited knowledge, then it is neutral, and when there is a lot of knowledge, and still the confusion is persisting, so neutral, like 5 negatives, 5 positives. And when there is a lot of knowledge and the confusion is persisting, that is called ambivalent attitude. That Bunty Bubbly example that I gave you, so you can connect with that, right? So the boy had a lot of positives also, a lot of negative points also related to whether he should propose the girl or not propose the girl, right? So you can just connect with this. So 10 positives, 10 negatives, that's how you can connect this given dimension when we are talking about it. Again, like let us consider when we are speaking of it, okay, confusion in filing this. No, Labdhi, it is associated with when, like, you are talking all about honesty, but your sibling is involved in it, or some uncle is involved in it, or your father is involved in it. So in that situation, there will be a high degree of ambivalence. Earlier, you did not know that father is involved in it or sibling is involved in some corruption related act. So you are having a neutral attitude with limited information about acts of corruption and manifestation or impact of it. But when you're over informed from like personal quarter as well as professional quarter, that what are the demerits of corruption and then what are the segments which are articulating due to corruption, so in that situation this ambivalent can be associated with it. Okay, so attitude of, like, let us say when we are speaking of it, a CEO towards his employee who's, like, let's say, intelligent and energetic, is contributive but corrupt. So in this situation also you can think of it, right, that there will be like the possibility of ambivalence occurring, that should I continue with this person, the person is getting so much of business, or should I get rid of this person because a lot of confusion is happening. So the structure of attitude, when we speak of it, it is associated with positives and negatives, and between this positive and negative, we can say emotions, facts, experiences raises the possibility of what we are experiencing. So we can say the structure of attitude decides the extent to which an attitude in question can affect the actual behavior of an individual, can affect the actual behavior of an individual. So we can connect it like this, like weak attitude, if it is there. So weak attitude, so what happens in that condition? Locus of control will shift to external. Locus of control shifts from internal to external. I've already explained this so many number of times. Anyway, so as we are talking about this component, dissonance, I'll explain. Cognitive dissonance, Vijeta, have patience. We will be talking about cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is the manifestation of it, manifestation of this, what is occurring due to ambivalent attitude, okay, or due to this. Again, when I'm talking about this, how about I substantiate something more associated with this attitude in terms of weak attitude and strong attitude. So there's something more which we can connect, maybe. Okay. So, like, let us consider if there is like 4 negative points and 2 positive points. So, with 4 negatives and 2 positives, what will it be? So, it will be strong negative attitude. So, what is strong negative attitude? We all can see it is over here, that is 4 negatives, 2 positives. So you have 2 positive points and you have like 4 negative points. So that is going to create what? Strong negative attitude, right? You can see what is neutral, you can see what is like ambivalent, right? So neutral, ambivalent, you can just connect with these given possibilities, right? Again, further, when we are moving ahead with this, we can connect it with, like, let's say, what is weak negative attitude. So weak negative attitude will be like, let us consider in this given situation, so weak negative 3 points, a bit of teda meda, but I hope you can connect. So, like let us consider if there are 3 points which are negative, and like there are no, it's like, sorry, 3 and 2, something like that I had to make. Wait, let me erase it. Maybe I should not touch 3. I will touch something else, a bigger number, and that will create a better perception. It will generate a better perception. So, when we are speaking of it, so like let us consider something like um, 6 and 4 can be taken. Yeah, but it's just that. Okay. So, like let us consider. Okay, so this is associated with minus, negatives are 6 and positives are 4. So, this is your weak negative attitude. It's weak negative attitude because the attitude pertaining to weaker points are not too different. They are not too many in number compared to the positive. There are 4 positives also, and there are 2 extra negatives, so it's like 6 negatives. So your attitude towards how to decide upon the situation, which it will be associated with the weak negative attitude. Weak negative because like the negative is dominating in the situation still, but still it is weak because positives are also quite sizable in number. All right. Again, let us reflect upon the same pertaining to another example. So, like let us consider, when we are speaking of this, let us consider weak positive attitude. What is weak positive attitude? When the negatives are competing with the positives, that is going to create weak positive attitude. Okay, so like let us consider there are 6 points from here. So, 6 points from here, and like let us consider again 4 points from here. Okay, so positives are 6 positives. Okay, and like there are 4 negatives. Okay, so this is leading to a weak positive attitude. So we can connect it with weak positive attitude. And why is it a weak positive attitude? Because the positives are still dominating, but the negatives are also competing with the positives, slightly less. So that's what. All right. Similarly, like let us consider if I am taking something like a strong positive attitude. So, strong positive attitude. So, strong positive attitude can be determined like let us say this. So, strong positive attitude is when there are 7 positives and there are 3 negatives. Okay, so 3 negatives. So that is something which is creating a strong positive attitude, because you have more number of positives in the given situation compared to the negatives. All right. So I hope all of you are able to see this diagram. This is nothing but basic graph sheet which you can make in the exam. This is something which we were introduced to in standard 6, the graph sheet and how to use the graph sheet. All you need to do is be patient, revise it multiple times, understand the logic associated with it, create multiple examples. There is no end to example related to it. The same bitter gourd example can be a strong positive and can be a strong negative, can be a weak positive or a weak negative, doesn't matter what is the example. It's all about how many cognitive aspects, how many cognitive aspects are positive, or how many affective aspects are positive, how many cognitive aspects are negative, how many affective aspects are negative, how many past experiences are positive or negative, all clubbed up in totality, all summed up in totality, and then thinking about what is the overall negative evaluation and what is overall positive evaluation, and then calculating it in this given situation. So for ambivalent, a lot of positives and a lot of negatives. Yes, Montu, they are competing. For ambivalent, there has to be a lot of positives and a lot of negatives which are really competing. That's why you are like really confused, that you are having a lot of positive and negative information. So now which side to fall on? So you are in a confusion. You are like in a state of unrest. So that's what. Can there be a possibility of absolute? Well, what is this idea of absolute? I mean, there can be a possibility where we are recalling 5 positive and 5 negative. So that's also there. Is it the same as the same structure like cognition plus emotion plus value equals to attitude? Yes, yes, yes. Payal, if you would have joined the session in time, I started my lecture with this sentence, what you are recalling right now. Okay. So I started my lecture with this sentence. So you are able to connect with it. This graph doesn't feature in this given material. Yes, why should it everything feature in the given material? There should be uniqueness, no, of the lecture, so that no one feels very complacent and comfortable that now I've got the material, so there is no need to attend the session. A person should always remember that things which will be created in lecture will be distinct from what material is provided or what is there in the books. The unique possibility are existing in the lecture. We have to club all of it and then create a wholesome reality of the chapter. All right. What if zero positive and 10 negatives? Then there is a wholesome level of negative evaluation related to the person or the situation. I mean, that's something which is understood, Sai, isn't it? How can ambivalent be related to nuclear test dilemma for India? Because we needed nuclear test. Because if we didn't have the nuclear test done and we were talking about nuclear disarmament, it won't have made sense to the world, Vivek, right? I mean, it is said, there's a Hindi poetry of, again, Ramdhari Singh Dinkar, who said that the attitude of forgiveness like adorns those who have the venom to bite and to kill. So you cannot talk about forgiveness when you yourself are a weakling. Okay, Kshama Shobhati usi bhujang ko jiske paas garal hai. Okay, that means forgiveness suits only those snakes or those people who possess the venom. Then only when you are saying I forgive you, it makes a weightage, it has a weightage. I mean, if Nepal says to US that I forgive you, people will laugh at the statement. But if, like, let's say China says this to US, I forgive you, or US says this to China, I forgive you, then this sentence will be held with a lot of seriousness. So that's why you need to understand, Vivek, that when you are asking that nuclear test dilemma, nuclear test was essential for us to talk about nuclear disarmament to the world. Because when we have the technology, when we have the weapons, and then when we say that these weapons are not needed, this technology is not needed, the world will take us seriously. Got it? I hope you are getting the idea. So it was needed. But at the same time, we ourselves had a negative attitude to use such weapons. We were talking about peace, we were talking about non alignment. So the positives were also tremendous, the negatives were also tremendous. That's why. Okay. That's why we can connect it with dilemma, the dilemma related to nuclear disarmament, whether we should, like, how things ought to be done. But Nehruji was very clear why this segment is required for India, and that's why we had a clarity in our approach, in our policy. The world, though, did not initially understand, so a lot of people questioned that when Nehruji is committed to the issue of global peace, and when he's talking about non-arm disarmament, non-alignment movement, when he's talking about nuclear disarmament, how come he's instructing to Homi Jahangir Bhabha to go for nuclear testing? Okay, so for the world it was a surprise when we speak of it. So I hope all of you are getting an idea. SME, please support me with minor queries if I'm missing out on any of the queries per se. But I think I'm addressing majority of them. Few if I have left, I apologize for that. Just support me with that. So that means ambivalent attitude can be exploited, thus bad to hold. Yeah, exactly, Ravi. Ambivalent attitude can be exploited because there is confusion, there is chaos in our standpoint. A neutral or ambivalent situation will also give trouble, yes, in rational decision making. So very true, Mithun. One has to have the possibility of falling in one of the sides, and the method which can help you to arrive at a side to overcome ambivalent attitude or to overcome neutral attitude is to reflect upon the ethics involved in the situation. The ethics will guide you to what is the right decision in that given situation. So the ethical concern or the broader human concern, the larger human concern, the larger principles and ideals which ought to be followed, when you are guided by that, then there is internal locus of control. The internal locus of control douses the confusion off. It gives you a clarity of purpose and how to move ahead with. All right. So that's there. Now, with respect to this, when we are moving ahead, so structure of attitude, I believe all of you are able to connect with this given dimension. What will guide us outside ambivalence? I said the locus of control, the ethics. If our ethics is profoundly established, if our value system is intact, if our moral development is up to mark, okay, so with these three, the internal locus of control will be there, and we will be guided to what is in the larger interest of humankind, larger interest of the ecosystem, the biome. So that is how we'll be able to arrive at a solution. We can consider that when there is weak attitude and our locus of control shifts to from internal to external, then there can be a scope of incorrect or bad decision making. All right. So no problem, Vaibhav. It's okay. I just hope if you get, because Vaibhav, it's a very cliched concept. So just in case, beta, your internet connection is causing a problem. So just in case there is any friction or a lack of clarity in the concept, feel free to raise it. One, two. Also get into this possibility of listening to the lecture once. Just this part. If there is any confusion or ambiguity, you will be able to understand that. Was hanging of Bhagat Singh due to ambivalence of Gandhi? No. Gandhi was very clear in his ideology. He is not going to endorse any act of violence in any given condition, because not everyone is Bhagat Singh, who is so morally upright and so loaded with values and so well read. Majority of the masses, if they think that once in a while violence is okay, Bhagat Singh can throw a bomb in the parliament, so we can throw it on someone else's head. One person will die, it will create more sensation. Another fellow gets inspired, oh, one death will not cause much of sensation, let me kill at least 40-50 people. So Bhagat Singh's ideals will get diluted, the aspirations will get diluted. That's what Mahatma Gandhi understood and perceived through his ideology. So the moment he made the clarion call of maintaining non-violence, he stuck to his ideology, and that's why he did not speak about Bhagat Singh's, requested the British for Bhagat Singh's forgiveness, because it was not in consonance with his larger ideology of maintaining non-violence in all situations, come what may. If you have to exercise violence, go for do or die, means either you die or perform. So even if violence has to happen, the first you have to avoid violence at all costs, and if the violence becomes the last resort, it is somewhere associated with inflicting self hurt, or being open to getting hurt but not hurting the other one, so that the voice gets heard to the larger audience, to the world, and they are able to see that how justice is manifesting itself in the given part of the world. Okay, all right. So still he tried before Irwin Pact. So very true. Labdhi. So Bhagat Singh threw a harmless bomb. So very true. That's their Kaushik. We need to understand. But how many Indians following Bhagat Singh would have thrown harmless bombs in vacant areas? There are a lot of people who don't have that value system and that level of academic orientation and education as that of Bhagat Singh. So Bhagat Singh would have done it in the most proper manner it should have been done. But people getting inspired by him won't have followed the similar order. That's the problem. Bhagat Singh was not the problem, his ideology was not the problem. The problem was the kind of impact it could have generated, the version of manifestations that could have articulated. Bhagat Singh had said that the only way for national development and development is of humanity is like academic orientation. Even 5 minutes before his death, he was studying in his cell. So when his cellmate asked him that why are you studying, Bhagat, he said this is the only way to freedom for any youth and any version of freedom that the country wants. But how many youth of your age are motivated by this statement of Bhagat Singh? Every time they are opening books, they are like, I have to free my country. I have to free myself from all fine forms of unfreedoms and all forms of, we can say, challenges that we are suffering from in our society. So the values and ideals of Bhagat Singh and the kind of well-read boy he was just at the age of 22, 23. Majority of the youth of 22, 23 making TikTok reels and Insta videos does not possess even 5% of the values that that man possessed. Even those who are preparing for civil services, a lot of them are studying for the sake of studying, studying for the sake of a job, studying for the sake of economic security. They are not studying for the ideal that it is academics which is going to liberate us from the darkness of, we can say, darkness of lack of knowledge, darkness of ignorance, darkness of stupidity. So, studying for the sake of getting illuminated, enlightened, empowered, okay, something which is going to transform you as a personality. That's what. I hope that's making sense. So, Bhagat Singh was great in his own capacity, but the kind of manifestation of his ideals would have been something different. Information seeked through RTI is now exploded as bomb in case where corruption have taken place. No need to throw bomb anywhere. Is there any? Huh? I cannot make any sense of this sentence, Prashant. SME, please help me to decode the sentence and help Prashant whatever he is asking, because the sentence is going haywire in terms of grammar, and as I'm reading it speedily, I can't make sense out of it. Now, so how to make strong mindset in odd situations? Sahil, the answer is written in green pen. You can see ethics, values, moral development, internal locus of control. When that is strong in all odd situations, you have a clarity what you have to stand for at all times. Okay. Now, so structure of attitude, I hope that's getting clear for all of you. So, functions of attitude. When we are discussing about the functions of attitude, that is given by Daniel Cards. Okay, even if you don't remember Daniel Cards, it's perfectly fine. Remembering thinkers related to basic concepts is not essential. Okay, because it's a GS paper, general studies paper, so a generalized overview is also fine. Once in a while, forgetting these names related to concepts is fine. That's not going to cause a problem. Problem is if you forget the Western philosophers and thinkers or Indian philosophers and thinkers, then it can become little twisted, little tricky. All right. Now, with respect to this, when we are talking about this, now examples and answers to examples always suiting to the structure of attitude. Please address that given segment like SME. Please help me with that, because examples will never get over. Students can come up with many, many more. Now, with respect to this knowledge function, so attitude can help us in knowledge function. So, how it helps us in knowledge function, we all can see. So, it helps us to, knowledge function, because it helps to predict the future. Predict the future. We can connect it with that. Or in simple language, if I put it, so attitude helps us to understand, it helps us to understand the otherwise overwhelming, the otherwise overwhelming amount of information, amount of information in the world, in the world. They are shortcuts. They are shortcuts that help, that help us to, that help us to simplify our perceptions, to simplify our perceptions, to simplify our perceptions of the world, so that it becomes more predictable, manageable, and safer. Manageable and safer. Now, how can we connect it with the example? So, like, let us say you are walking in the park, and as you are walking in the park, something like 2 3 feet away, you can see suddenly a rattlesnake moving in the grass. And the moment you see the rattlesnake or a cobra or something like that, you run with the like fastest speed that your body possesses to move out of the situation. Why? Because you know the attitude of the the snake. You know that it can hit you, it can bite you, it can threaten your life, your wholesome well-being. But like, let us say not 3 feet away, just 1 feet away, as you are like taking rounds in the park, just 1 feet away there is a cow sitting and chewing the cud, and it's just like lost, it is chewing the cud and you are just passing next to it. You are chill, you are like, it's just munching its own cud, sitting peacefully, there's no threat, the cow is not going to hit me, or it's not going to misbehave with me, as it is sitting coolly and just chewing its cud. So you pass by next to her just 1 feet away without any fear of being hurt. This is knowledge function. A lot of knowledge related to the world, people, insights, things happening around you, objects, animals, anything. So, a lot of information that you have about the world, and where there is the component of understanding the attitude, understanding the behavior, understanding the potential threats. In that situation, what happens is that with overwhelming amount of information, you are able to process it and create shortcuts, and the shortcuts help you to simplify so many things which are happening in the world. It helps you to arrive at simple solutions, and because of which we can see that the world becomes more predictable, more manageable, and the world becomes easier and safer when we speak of it. All right. So this is how you can connect with this given dimension of knowledge function. Knowledge function. All right. No, Vivek, Prince Siddharth did not experience ambivalence, else he won't have been able to take the step. Okay, he had a, we can say, strong negative attitude towards the pathos of domesticity, because then it won't have led him to explore the path of illumination, the purpose of human life, a person being born as a human being, and the capability to, we can consider, like, move out of the challenges or pathos pertaining to it. All right. So that's there which we can talk about. Um, then we are like going to speak about the utility function. All right. So utility function, when we are speaking of it, utility is associated with holding a certain attitude towards things which play a utility for us. Like, for example, irrespective of the political party that a person belongs to, there is a positive attitude towards khadi amongst the leaders. You can see that the leaders, they always believe that khadi is like something which is pro politician and pro like usage of, we can consider, usage of the khadi for dressing up, because you look like merging in the, not merging in the crowd, but you look like simply dressed, because khadi is not like a very expensive fabric like silk, or it is not super expensive when we are talking about it in terms of branded clothing. Khadi is something, though it can be of different qualities, and good quality khadi can be little expensive, but it is not as expensive as like a high end branded clothing. So it helps people to connect with the masses, and it helps them to like get into greater acceptance. So there is greater acceptance in this given dimension. So when we are talking about utility function, it exists in attitudes that maximize rewards, that maximize rewards and minimize punishments. I'll explain this again with like a lot of examples. And minimize punishments obtained from obtained from attitude objects, obtained from attitude objects. So person if a person holds or expresses socially acceptable attitude, socially acceptable attitudes, other people other people will reward him with approval. Other people will like reward him with approval. Just a second. So other people will reward him with approval and social acceptance. And social acceptance. What do I imply to say by this? That is the utility function. So what I imply to explain through utility function, we all can see that with respect to this, we can also connect the subsegment that, like, let's say uh, the person who is wearing a khadi kurta, okay, like let's say, let me give you the example of Mahua Moitra. So Mahua Moitra, a fierce MP from West Bengal. So you will see that when Mahua Moitra comes for, like, the Rajya Sabha, or sorry, the like proceedings of the parliament. So at that time, you will see that she will be dressed up in like nice cotton saris or silk saris, but mostly cotton saris, smartly dressed up, like speaking quite vociferously. What happened in one of the meetings, she carried a Louis Vuitton bag, and the journalist clicked the pictures and they said, oh, the bag will at least cost 2 lakh, 2.5 lakh rupees, this one. So like, what is the value that she is manifesting? So everyone was like, oh, she's like holding such an expensive bag and this and that. Now she was embarrassed. She gave some like random explanation to it, but that was something which backfired, because we can say a state like Bengal, which is quite influenced by socialist ideals and values, simplistic living, and caring for the people, and politicians who prioritize the interests of the people. So in such a state, if some politician is holding a high end bag, that can backfire. Okay, so that is what happened. So when people wear khadi, okay, that is so that there is no kind of like minimizing punishment, means it does not lead to mudslinging, it does not lead to, we can consider, it does not lead to any kind of negative emotions generated against him or her. It is something which is associated with maximizing rewards. It is associated, something associated with the person able to, we can consider, the person is able to like, get greater social acceptance, get positive opinion about him or her. So that is something which you all can connect with this given segment when we are talking about, we can say, maximizing rewards. So utility function is associated with anything, any behavior, any act, any thing that you are using. For example, again, second example I can give you, other than khadi, you can also think like there can be a person who's like freshly recruited in an office, and the person notices that a lot of people are, like, let us consider, going with the boss for a smoke break. So whenever the boss takes a smoke break, few juniors also join, and that is the time when they can informally chit chat about casual things with the boss and develop a personal camaraderie with the boss. Okay, so these individuals, they have a tendency to, like, let us say, uh, join the boss with a for a fag break or a smoke break. So this junior who's not into a smoking habit thinks that what difference will it make if I just go and smoke half a cigarette, and that way, like, I will be able to establish a personal rapport with the boss, and I will be able to if there is a personal rapport, then in situations which are pressing, or suppose the targets have to be met, but the target is getting close, the time period is getting close, so the boss can exercise a bit of favor or kindness, and it I will have an advantage whereby I'll be able to overcome the challenge of the given situation. So that's what, when we are speaking of this given dimension, that if we are exercising the possibility of utility function, we all can connect it with this given subsegment, whereby we can see that it exists in the attitude of the people, and whereby we can see that the possibility of breakthrough is there. So if a person holds or expresses some socially acceptable attitudes, the other people will reward this person, or approve this person, and there will be better social acceptance. So that's utility function associated with the attitude that we possess towards attitude objects, okay, or situations or things. All right. So I hope all of you are understanding that. Yes, exactly, Sarashti. It is her personal choice and it is her personal money as well. But the way I said, unbecoming of a civil servant, in the similar manner, a politician is supposed to serve the people. So it becomes unbecoming of a politician when simplicity is not exercised in a third world country. It is a mark of lack of compassion, lack of empathy towards the larger concern of the people. Because when you understand it's my money, I'm spending, what's the harm? But if empathy and compassion is there, I will always ask, what is a better way to utilize this money? Even a regular handbag of, like, good quality leather is available for 4,000 to 10,000 rupees on an average. So I can spend that amount, and the rest of the amount can be used for public welfare. Are you understanding that, Sarashti? So that's why you will see that great leaders, they generally dress up simply. They use simple things. They don't get into indulgences, right? Warren Buffett, you can think, Jack Ma also to a certain extent, Mark Zuckerberg in few things of his life, right? So that's how you can see that simplicity. There was a essay topic that was asked in UPSC exam few years back, just 3 years back. It was, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. So simplicity is the ultimate sophistication can be, this sentence can be reflected from values and ethos point of view also. Okay, it can be associated with our patterns of living and consumerism also. From Ishwar Chand Vidyasagar to Vivekananda, they exercised simplicity, which also, like, it saves time and it helps you to focus on greater goals, bigger goals. It helps you to come up with more efficient, or we can say effective solutions as well. Okay, so that's also something which we can connect with when we are speaking of it. Mukesh Ambani, Ratan Tata, okay, Sudha Murthy, yes, like all of you, Sundar Pichai, all of you can think of different examples. That's fine. So okay, that's Apple's motto, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. Good, great. All right, fine. So, as we are moving from utility function, when we are moving to the next subsegment, we can think of ego defensive function. What is ego defensive function? So, ego defensive function, you can see this, the fox, when he was trying to eat the grapes and he failed to do so. So, he said that grapes are sour. So, grapes are sour. Why did he say so? Because it was out of his reach and he had to save his self esteem. So ego defensive function, as the term says, ego defensive, that means to save your ego, to save your self esteem, you are, like, giving an explanation, and your attitude is accordingly shaped while giving that explanation. Like nowadays, you can see a lot of people who resist fat shaming. They will be in the mode of saying that fat is beautiful, doesn't matter, body shapes should not be criticized and condemned. So for those people, like suppose if someone is suffering from some disease or disorder, or is on some medication, or is experiencing from some massive hormonal imbalance, whatever it is, and the person has suddenly blown up, then in that situation we can like maybe connect it with ego defensive function when we are speaking of this given subdimension. But if we talk about this topic, like when a person is, like, let's say, incessantly eating high calorie food, okay, having burgers and pizzas and like fried oily stuff, and then the person is like, it's my choice, my body, the way I want to live, according to me that's a massive disaster, because you are making a coffin out of your own body. You are not taking good care of your body, whereby basic exercises and healthy lifestyle, healthy food should have been prioritized. Okay. So in this given possibility, when we are talking about ego defensive function, what is it associated with? So it refers to attitudes holding attitudes that protect our self esteem, that protect our self esteem, or that justify actions, or that justify our actions that make us feel guilty, that make us feel guilty. Okay, so that is something associated with ego defensive function when we are speaking of this given subdimension. So with reference to ego defensive function, when we are requesting for this given possibility, when we are understanding this given possibility, we can see that you are trying to protect the self esteem and you are justifying the actions that make you feel guilty. And that's how I said that a negative attitude, like a fat person developing a negative attitude towards sports, cycling, exercising, healthy eating habit, in the name of I don't care like what body type or body shape is there with me. I am open to accept my body and embrace my body. All that is fine, accepting and embracing the body. But exposing the body to harmful food items or harmful lifestyle is not also advisable. Similarly, a person who's into smoking or drinking, those individuals, they speak positive things about the benefits of smoking or drinking, that how it is a stress buster, how it is generating good feeling, how it is good for digestion, or how it is a hobby for rich people. So that is something which is, again, we can say that is ego defensive function, that you are trying to justify your act when you deep down are aware that it is harmful, a habit, and that should not be entertained. Simultaneously, you can also connect it with, we can say, when we are talking about this ego defensive function, we can also connect it with the possibility that it is something which is like a kind of poor justification, and which manifests through the attitude, and you are trying to just justify a cause which cannot be, like, logically or ethically be justified per se. Okay. So oh my god, oh my god, that's like sincerely an outrageous statement, whereby you're sharing that if you are exercise you are a fatophobic. Oh god, oh god. Like that's sincerely quite interesting and a funny statement. So nach na jane angan teda, yes, you can connect with that also. So, can we compare ego defensive function with being in denial as we defend ourselves? No, 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 no. The person is not in denial. The person is aware of what is the right thing. It's just that the person doesn't want to hustle, doesn't want to work in that direction. And just because the person is not having the conviction to work in that direction, or is not getting desirable results in that direction, that a person develops a negative attitude. Like, let's say, a civil services aspirant preparing for the exam and not able to clear the exam, and then saying that, oh, the exam is a fraud itself. Okay, so this is ego defensive function, that like it is only the like English medium students who are preferred, that too from IIT, or start speaking like some garbage information that, oh, there is setting even in UPSC, something like that. Okay, so that's there. Yes, the person will lack dedication, Baldev, in that situation. Again, when we are talking about this value expression function, in this what happens is that our attitudes help to express our values to others. They also help to establish our identity to both ourselves as well as that of others, as well as that of others. Okay, when we are speaking of it, like value expression function, here you can see there is an image where Dr. Manmohan Singh is there, Atal Bihari Vajpayee is like Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji is there. We can see also Sharad Pawar is there, and we can also see that Lal Krishna Advani is there. So four leaders standing together when we are speaking of it, and all of them are wearing khadi. So the value associated with khadi, they may possess it differently, because different political leaders wear khadi, but for each, the value associated related to khadi, the value associated with the usage of khadi can differ. Like for example, maybe for Dr. Saab, that is Dr. Manmohan Singh, nahin, why should I say maybe, because I don't know, so I won't endorse their opinion, I'm sorry to say that. Let me say ex politician. So there is an ex politician for whom khadi is representation of like the freedom movement, all the effort that was made towards freedom movement and the ideals of freedom movement, self sufficiency. Okay, for one leader. Let's say for Y leader, it is expression of Gandhian ideology. It is expression of like a Gandhian, we can say, like values. Okay, and like let's say for third leader, for the Z leader, the Z leader, wearing khadi is getting close to people. It is people's fabric. It is associated with, like it is associated with the connected with the masses. So we can see even in rural areas, people can wear khadis, kurta and pajama, and they can wear even a khadi like cap. So in that situation, it is an expression of being a people's leader. So, for different individuals, the same object may hold different value, may hold different ideals, may hold different, we can say, thought process. Okay, so that's what we can connect with it. Similarly, when we are seeing these two watches, Rolex and Omega. So, Omega is also showing time, and Rolex is also showing time, as we all can see this given dimension, but still we can see the price will differ like anything, right? So for getting a Rolex, there is a fair possibility you're going to the shop, you're appreciating the watch, you're liking the watch, and then you're getting it booked. Yes, booking is done. So even though the watch is in front of you, it is not sold to you, it is not given to you. What happens after the booking is done, after the booking is made, you are encouraged to, like I would say, you are encouraged to go into the process of not like purchasing it, waiting for 1 year or 9 months or 10 months. So there is a waiting period for Rolex, and then you get it. So there is a value to it. What value? The waiting period, the money? No, not the 8 lakh rupees or 10 lakh rupees you spent behind the Rolex, or not the time you waited. The value that when you are wearing that watch and people are seeing that watch, they are like, oh wow, Rolex. That means the people will estimate your stature, that you are a person belonging to a profound background, a rich background. You are a person who is having like access to like good quality goods. You are like having a strong, we can say, background per se, whereby you can afford these luxury items. So people will treat you differently in public spaces. Okay, so that is associated with value expression function when we are talking about reflecting about a Rolex watch or an Omega watch when we are talking about it. Okay, so different attitude objects are likely to fulfill like a particular function or different functions for different people. In fact, I should write this sentence that different attitude objects are likely to fulfill are likely to fulfill um, a particular function. Okay, are likely to fulfill a particular function or different functions different functions for different people for different people. All right, fine. Yes, that's also how you can connect with Rolls Royce or Maruti versus Mercedes. There's a lot of like a regular phone versus an expensive phone. A lot of my friends, like, they keep complaining that you are such a conjuice person, you don't even purchase a new phone. My phone is 6 years old and I'm so comfortable with it, I don't feel like changing it. So my brother, like, he always says that if I were you with your kind of income, I would have, I don't know, purchased the best and latest version of iPhone. I was like, that's a wastage of money. After every passing year the technology will deplete, and the basic functions which I need from a phone is fulfilled by this basic like OnePlus phone also. So why should I change it? Even though it is 6 years old, it is fulfilling all the functions. The screen is intact, images are clear. I can read my mails, I can read WhatsApp. So there's no problem associated with it. So he's like, he being an army officer, there are restrictions to the income, and he's a very dry, honest officer. So, like, when his wife was posted in Congo and she was traveling back, they went to Dubai, which is like just foreign country for namesake. It's more like next door destination for many Indians. So they went, they just explored the country, and then he got a Google Plus phone. So he started explaining the features, this, that I have, and I'm like, okay, good for you. Be happy. So because you have to be clear what you need from the material objects and what purpose they need to fulfill. So that's the thing, and there's no end to materialism, so you need to have a clarity. Suppose I would have been into photography or any such, I don't even click pictures. I'm not a, like, maybe in 1 month I click one or two pictures, and that too the essential ones. Okay, so I'll visit places and sometimes I'll forget to take pictures. That also happens once in a while. So when we are speaking of the given possibility associated with, like, this given subsegment of utility function and sorry, utility, I'm saying value expression function. So in value expression function, we can see different individuals can see things at a different level. They can have different perceptions related to those attitude objects, and that is something which also determines their personality and their choices. That's how we can consider. So all right, so I hope all of you are getting the basic concepts right. And no, 5G is supported, and anyway I don't need that so called 5G, because everywhere I go, Pratik, I have like Wi-Fi, so not a problem. All right, so we can just okay, okay, great. I appreciate all those people who are sharing their personal experiences and insights, right? So, yes, that's also there, Jadav, the example that you are saying. I totally support that. That's also there when we are speaking of it with respect to value expression. Yes. So let us like build upon these concepts more profoundly further ahead by understanding the relationship between attitude and behavior. Okay, so what is the relationship between attitude and behavior? And let us start with it after a break. So like it is 6:42. So let us take a 15 minutes break and resume the session. All right. All right, welcome back, all of you. So, as we are reflecting upon the chapter of attitude and connecting it with the relationship between attitude and behavior. So, what is it that we need to understand? So, the first segment is, do attitudes influence behavior? Okay, so it's not necessary. Okay, not necessary. It may or may not. For example, all of you are aware that most of the students have a negative attitude towards cheating, that cheating should not be done, it is unfair, it is unethical when we speak of it, right? But then what do we see? That despite having this negative attitude, suppose if, like, let's say 4 days before the mains exam, someone tells you that you can have a sneak peek to the mains question paper, and if you prepare those topics well, you have a better chance to perform in the exam. So in such a situation, there is a high chance majority of the students may say, okay, let me just have a glimpse, because in the end of the day, I'll have to prepare those chapters better. I'll have to, like, memorize the content well so that I can write. So that's something which all of us can connect, that the attitude is not necessarily influencing the behavior, and the behavior may not be necessarily derived, okay, from the attitude per se. Okay, you can also take this Hindustan like Times case study, so which is like for all of you here in the board. So this Hindustan Times case study, which was published. Okay, so case study I had to write. I'm writing cast, God knows why. So in this also you can see that 60% of the respondents, they say that they don't love their job over here, as you can see this, right? So they don't love their job. So despite of the fact that they don't love their job, and there are a lot of sub segments which are given pertaining to who is not loving their job, or boss, or this or that permutation combination, but you can see that 60% of the people do not love their job. Still, will it, how will it manifest in the behavior? So you will see the still the person is going for the job, working attentively, diligently, trying to complete all the targets. So we can understand that the attitude may not necessarily be like impact the behavior per se. That's what you need to understand. Okay, you can also see that there are people who, like, let us say, they say that they have a positive attitude. Okay, positive attitude towards healthy lifestyle, healthy lifestyle. But when it comes to behavior, you can see that it is manifesting in the form of lazy, laid back, laid back behavior, where there is no exercise, unhealthy eating, right? So that's how you can connect with the possibility of attitude when connected with the component of behavior. I believe all of you can connect with this given subsegment, that the attitude is not necessarily influencing the behavior. Similarly, like, let us say someone is claiming, okay, to be environment friendly, so eco friendly. Someone is talking about save the nature, and such a person, like, let us consider, so this is the attitude. Now, let us say a fact happens. The fact is that suppose the person wins a lottery in which the person gets a red colored Ferrari, convertible Ferrari. The person gets red convertible Ferrari. Okay. So, the moment the person gets that red convertible Ferrari, in that situation, a person is aware that, like, this has a very high carbon footprint. High carbon footprint. But then the question arises that will the person refuse? Okay, will the person refuse to accept it? Will the person refuse to accept it? You'll see no. On an average, the person will be very motivated to like accept this given possibility. Is this your car? Vivek, I don't own a car. If you don't realize this by now, I'm a minimalist person. I can own a Ferrari, but I don't need even a single car. My friends, seniors, and colleagues push me for this, that at least have a car, it will ease your life. And I'm like, there are so many people who get employed. Early morning, I get a driver with a car. So he comes, I pay him handsomely, whatever he had quoted, I did not even negotiate. All the like, rickshaw walas, all the like battery operators, this, that, whatever, like whoever is driving, whatever. So many people get employed, money gets distributed, employment is generated, right? So why to own a vehicle, then like get tired about its servicing, get tired about its insurance, this, that, multiple issues. Life is chill that way. My father has his car, but he stays somewhere else. My brother has his car, he also stays somewhere else. So if they want luxury cars, let them own. I don't need anything. I'm like very much complacent and like gratified in my state. Yes, so I have driver means I have hired that driver for specific number of days. If you have forgotten, I have early morning sessions. At 5 a.m., I'm not interested to book any random Ola or Uber, right? So this guy, whenever I need a car, I just pay him and he comes whensoever it is needed. I just have to keep him posted in advance. Any place that I have to go or any situation that I'm stuck up with, if I need a driver. Majority of the times, I also rely on public transport. What is the need? When I go home or when I'm like going to my brother's place, they will be like very displeased about this fact, but I don't care. Recently, like few of my friends are behind my life to purchase a car. So it seems they are like, if you don't purchase, we'll like purchase it for you, and when we'll pay a hefty amount, a check, then you'll have to pay it back. So all that is also happening. No, 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 I've never boarded the DTC buses like in past, I would say almost 12, 13 years. That is not there because there's a direct connectivity from my place to this place, and from my place the metro almost starts just 3 stops away. So the women compartment is practically empty. I sit, I start reading, and as I complete a sizable portion of something, I reach here. And there are times when friends or colleagues are traveling from here to home, so I get lift. So no problem, life is chill and easy, right? So that is something which we all can like connect with. So when attitude is not matching behavior, all right, so that's how we can connect with this. So this car, oh god, I don't know, it looks like fancy and luxury stuff, good to like sit in it once in a while, but not own it. That's what is like can be like considered from my standpoint. But it's okay if any one of you aspires to own it, or like indulge a bit. It's fine to indulge. See, it's not that I have not indulged in life. In past, I have indulged quite a lot and very expensive tastes and choices that I've had. It's only with passage of time I realized the futility of it, the wastage of resources in it. So see, ethics as a subject should not be something that is inspiring you only to know things academically. It should also have an impact on your psyche, that it is transforming you even as a person. Okay, so that is something which you can understand. uh, so Baldev, you're not understanding because maybe you did not start from here, right? That attitudes, how do the attitudes influence behavior? Okay, so attitudes, they influence behavior. This is something which I have explained. Can an IS officer afford a Ferrari? Tough, pretty tough. Okay, it's pretty tough. If parents are well off, maybe that is a scope or a solution. Like for example, Amit Kataria. So Amit Kataria is from he's in Chhattisgarh, like Kadar, and he's from Delhi, and he has a huge farmhouse in in Sanic Farms. He has a huge bungalow, and having a house in Sanic Farms is in hundreds of crores. The net worth of such property is that. And then his parents have all luxury cars, his sibling has luxury cars, but this guy, he as he's serving in Chhattisgarh, he is like one of the most dry honest officers who's committed to bring good quality life to people, and he donates his salary for tribal development. He just takes 1 rupee token salary. Rest he donates for the tribal cause. So you have such IS officers as well when we speak of this given dimension. All right. So um, I will buy it and give it for photography. Haha, nice, interesting. All right. So all of you can just connect with this given sub dimension as we are talking about it when we are speaking of do attitudes influence behavior. A person may possess a positive attitude, but it may not articulate in the behavior, like for exercising, like for being eco-friendly, but we are able to not exercise that eco-friendly attitude when you are possessing such luxury cars which have a high carbon footprint. So it's not necessary that the attitude may align with behavior. All right. So that is also there when we are speaking of it. So yes, those type of officers are needed. So Amit Kataria, that was the name, Mrityunjay, of the officer about whom I was talking about. All right, so I hope all of you are able to connect with this given dimension. um, Baldev, I hope you understood the explanation now, connecting with what you had missed. All right. So, when we are further like trying to understand that how behavior and attitude can also be aligned. So, I gave you the example when it is not aligned. Now, let us see how it can be aligned. Right. So, for example, when we are speaking of it, religion or caste related attitudes, they are very strong in India. Right. They are pretty strong in India. And with respect to it, when we say that it is pretty strong in India, that is something which manifests itself even in the behavior. So, like, let us say if this is the attitude, how it articulates itself in behavior. So, in behavior, we can see while renting the property to a tenant. So, while renting the property, they look into the background of the tenant. Okay. The background of the tenant, the background of the tenant is reflected upon is reflected upon. All right. So you can see if a person is a Jain, the person will be, or a Brahmin, the person may be hesitant to give the property to any person who might be indulging in eating non-vegetarian food. And if the person rents out the property, the person is extra vigilant what is being cooked, what kind of aroma is rising from the flat, or what kind of food is being ordered on Zomato or any such app. So you can see all those possibilities as well. Again, with respect to this, when we are discussing about it, we can again reflect upon the possibility of the attitudes being in alignment. We can think of political attitudes. Okay, for example, again I can say that political attitudes of people are very strong. So political attitudes very strong. So on the basis of this political attitude, this is the basis, okay, for exit poll to trace the political attitude of people, because whatever will be the attitude, that will manifest itself in behavior. What behavior? Voting behavior. So the attitude you possess towards a political party, towards, like, we can consider a given leader, that is something which is going to impact, that is something which is going to determine who would be rising to power in terms of your, we can say we can say your voting pattern, your voting behavior, your thought process. IS officer is just like Rajkumar Rao, that collector, तो हम शौक से करते हैं. अच्छा, okay, I don't have any idea about that movie, but I can sense what you are talking about, Mithun. All right, good, if you are thinking of all that. Anyway, so this political attitudes, they manifest itself in behavior when we are speaking of it, right? So if, like, let us say another example, if I can say, is that, like, let's say you have a towards negative attitude towards corruption. So this can manifest itself in different ways. Like, maybe you give speeches to your friends, give speeches to your friends, okay, regarding anti corruption. You are bringing greater transparency through filing RTI, okay, through filing RTI. You can also see that there can be also the possibility of writing blogs or Facebook posts. So that is something which is like expression of your attitude in your behavior when we speak of it. Okay. So similarly, you can see that sometimes attitude and behavior can also come in conflict, or two attitudes can come in conflict when we are talking about it. So sometimes two attitudes can come in conflict. So like let us say someone is believing in caste system. Okay, so like let's say so caste, your own caste, your own caste candidate is there. Okay, so here you have a positive attitude, but at the same time the person is highly corrupt. Okay, the person is highly corrupt and you are an honest person, so here comes the negative attitude. Okay, so two attitudes are coming in conflict with each other. So, caste and corruption. So, in this situation, what happens is that this will create confusion, as all of you can see that. And here you need to link between attitude and behavior. It will be based on what moral principles guide you. If it is identity politics that guides you, then you will vote for the person belonging to your caste. And if beyond identity politics, if honesty matters the most to you, then you will go for a candidate who's relatively more honest, even if the person does not belong to your caste or community per se. Okay, so that is how you can connect with this given dimension. All right, so again with respect to this, when we are speaking of the given subsegment, that again one more thing which I can suggest is, like let's say, do attitudes influence behavior? Influence behavior. Okay, so to this question you can say yes, no and mixed also. Yes, no and mixed, because when we are speaking of attitude influencing behavior, there can be other aspects also that helps to influence the behavior. It can get influenced also by other factors. So it can get influenced by, we can consider um, health. It can get influenced by, we can consider environment. It can get influenced by, we can say, the job of the person, right? It can get influenced by the caste of the person. So a lot of segments can influence our final attitude when we are speaking of it. Okay, so that's how you can connect with this given subsegment. Okay, and in the conclusion accordingly you will say that generally it is agreed that attitudes like influence the behavior, but it is only one of the determinants of behavior. It is not the only sole determinant of the behavior. So they represent the predispositions that a person can possess, and the particular way in which a person can have a tendency to behave, but there are various other factors which play a momentous role in the final articulation of the behavior. So that is how you will be talking about it in the conclusion. All right, very strong into very strong into okay, this one. So very strong. Like this is like political attitudes. They manifest itself in behavior. So very strong like attitude when we speak of it, it is associated with like the political attitudes, which also is considered as a basis for exit poll. Right. So gender based attitude, yes, there can be gender based attitude also. Ma'am, attitude is behavior, but behavior is not attitude. attitude manifests itself in behavior, but it may not manifest at all the times. Behavior is the expression, attitude is the, we can push, the indication, the inclination. All right. So Basav Raja, it means you are not following the previous session. I have explained this quite in a detailed manner. Were you present in the previous session? Though I can see your name appearing on the screen every now and then. Were you like thorough while it was being discussed? Yeah. So with respect to this, when you are talking that attitude is behavior, no, attitude is not behavior. Attitude is one of the factors which can influence the behavior. Okay. And behavior is not attitude, of course. Okay. So that's also there. Now, Basav Raja, you are going like silent after giving this statement. Were you present at all times for the session? I'm saying this because of this presumption that you are arriving at, which is so faulty. And it can only be there when you are not present at all times and regular at all times, that such a thought can come. Our attitudes shape our behavior, yes. Our behavior can also shape our attitude, that's also true. So attitude, because attitude, when it manifests in the behavior and the behavior impacts our cognition, so the cycle repeats itself. Cognition with emotion later impacts the attitude. So that's how. Okay. Attitude is mental, definitely. That's why it is also taught in psychology, Montu. All right. So behavior is the manifestation of underlying attitude. Yes, behavior may be the manifestation of underlying attitude because behavior is influenced by various factors, not just attitude. That's what I have said. All right. So okay, yes, that's why the concepts are little shaken, Basav Raja. I could sense it by the question that you raised, that you have not been thorough with the session, and that's why the presumptions you are holding is not in consonance with the lecture. All right. In the movie Padman, the protagonist's attitude towards women. Yes, you can connect it with movies also. Now, with respect to this, okay, so Shivaji is not getting the material, the study material from Byju's for 3 months. Can someone just escalate the issue? SME, please escalate this issue so that this child's concerns are duly taken up. All right. Now, with respect to this, when we are speaking of this given dimension, we can then reflect that do attitude guide behavior when we are speaking of it. So we can say that attitude guides behavior, but it is not the sole component, but it is not the sole component influencing the behavior, influencing the behavior. It is not the sole component influencing the behavior. So how do we see what are the other segments which can influence the behavior? You can reflect upon this over here. So other factors that influence the behavior, first is the quality of the person. So quality of the person, when we are speaking of it, we can see that it can be associated with integrity. So suppose a person who is a person of integrity will never compromise with the larger values. And if a person is compromising, then the person is hypocrite. That speaking of integrity, claiming values, but in action, that aspect is missing. So there is dissonance. There is a possibility of, we can say, we can consider that the attitude is not resonating, it is not meeting the specific qualities that ought to be there. So what are the qualities which should be there in a person when the person is working according to the attitude? Okay, the behavior is in consonance, in line with the attitude. So the person will be a person of integrity, the person will be exercising wisdom, courage, emotional intelligence, like for example negative attitude towards corruption, it is manifesting in the behavior also. Okay. The emotional intelligence stops further. Emotional intelligence strengthens the attitude further. Okay. So emotional intelligence strengthens the attitude further. Okay. Similarly, we can see optimism. So optimism, an optimistic person behaves as per the attitude. because the person has hope that whatever I will be enacting upon, it will manifest positive results for the society as well as I. So, and the pessimist person changes as per the suitability of the situation, which is in personal favor or satisfying the personal greed of the individual. Okay. Again, habit. So, habit can also be associated with it. Like if a person is having the attitude of, like let's say, a corrupt individual, so it will manifest itself in smaller things also, like the person will jump the red light. Okay, the person will be kleptomaniac, like right, like liking something. Oh, the pen is nice, let me keep it in my pocket and behave as if I forgot to like keep it back. A person is a kleptomaniac, so picking the spoon or picking some trivial item and walking off. So that is something which can be associated with the component of habit when we are discussing about it. Similarly, we can connect it with motivation. So motivation, the person is motivated to change if needed. Okay, to motivation to change if needed, if the values are guiding or if the times are changing, and the person needs to change, the person is open to do so. There is greater level of awareness. Okay, greater level of awareness regarding what is needed as per the suitability of the society, and the person is guided to behave accordingly. Similarly, qualities of a situation can also influence the we can say the final behavior of the individual. So when I say quality of a situation, like for example, when we are speaking of it, we can think of like a person resorting to vegetarian food. So vegetarianism during Navratras. So the person loves to eat non-veg food, but the person is exercising vegetarianism during the celebration of Navratras. So that is happening when we are seeing this given possibility. So that is happening, which we all can see is unfolding before all of us. Again, we can see it is due to social norm. Okay, so the person may be like following this given possibility because of the social norm that non-veg food should not be eaten during Navratras. Okay, so, and that's in North India, not in eastern part of India necessarily. Again, you can see that when we are speaking of the qualities of a situation, we can see that a person can be atheist. Okay, so for example, a person is an atheist, but parents are pressurizing to pray, are pressurizing to go to temple, so the child is dragging along with them and pray. So the child is folding hands and it's like, okay, I'll just follow the gestures, but I don't believe in God. So something like that. You can connect with that. Second, you can also connect it with, we can say, nature of society. So nature of society can is also associated with the qualities of a situation. So nature of society can also impact, like for example, in US, people are guided by individualism, guided by individualism, right? And we all can see that in India, people are guided mostly by family or collectives. So, guided by collectivism. Collectivism, when you are giving importance to the larger society. So even your neighbor can determine or your friends can determine that now you should get married, or now you should, like prepare for IS exams, because that is what is best suited. So because you are good in academics, there is nothing less than IS that you should prepare. Or if you are like getting close to 30, you should get married, right? So we all can see that the nature of society is also determining the situation of our life, the behavior that we possess. Okay, again, we can quote it with respect to the pressure of time. So pressure of time, pressure of time can also guide our behavior. So pressure of time, nature of society, the qualities of situation when we are talking about it. So time pressure, like for example, GS paper 4 is very lengthy, very, very lengthy. If I speak of just the case studies, I mean, if GS paper 4, you see the width, the fatness of the question paper itself talks about itself. So you can see that the case studies itself occupy something around 7 8 pages. So you are just going on and on reading the question and trying to interpret what does the examiner aspire to say, what is the possibility associated with it. So as you are going on and on with respect to the given dimension, you are seeing that you are pressurized for time, because you have to read so much, interpret so much, and then respond to the question effectively. So there is a fair possibility that you are cornered. You are cornered with time. It is very popularly said, okay, that if I quote, that individuals are more likely to base their decisions base their decisions on on their attitudes when there is pressure of time, when there is pressure of time. All right, so that is also something which we all can speak of. All right, so Praveen, your issue will also be escalated related to the pressure of not receiving the notes. What type of questions can be asked from this section? Questions will be associated with attitude, they will be associated with case studies, they will be associated with, like, two types of questions can be there. Questions can be associated with the theoretical aspect also, whereby functions of attitude or maybe structure of attitude is asked to be discussed with suitable illustrations, okay. And there can be case studies also, whereby your attitude is put to test, whether what kind of attitude you possess and how that attitude is influencing the decision making. If you remember, yesterday we were discussing a question which was associated with persuasion, remember, and that's associated with this chapter of attitude, because in the later half of the points, because after component, structure, function of attitudes, then attitude and behavior, so four subcomponents we are about to complete. Then later on you will see there is a subcomponent of attitude change and how it is connected to persuasion. And yesterday the second case study, which was related to choosing only men candidates, not choosing women because of granting them mat leaves, when that was implicitly said to the person by the company or the management head, then I said that the person can influence the situation also through persuasion. Remember that. So that's how the chapter's theory also helps you to solve the case studies better, recall the theories, incorporate those technical terms while solving the case studies, and along with that, be very thorough, be very super thorough with the we can say terms and terminologies, so that whenever there is any question that is asked, you are able to connect the dots. You're able to see that, oh, this question is associated with the emotional intelligence I need to possess, or the foundational values that I need to possess, or the attitude that is required to solve the situation, the kind of behavior that will get manifested due to that attitude. So that's how the application of this chapter comes into action in theory as well as in application. Okay, so an IPS officer related to Butler House case holds these qualities, and therefore his behavior towards his nation, service, society was positive, even after nationwide wide criticism and having suicidal tendencies. Yes, yes, yes. Vanshika, we can, good that you are able to connect examples which you are reading, knowing, happening around you, because that's the another step towards preparing this chapter. When you start recalling things happening around you in newspaper, in your life around you, where you can connect that, oh, this theory which I'm reading, this is directly connected to what's happening around me. So that's something which brings profoundness and clarity, establishes the basic concepts pertaining to it. All right. So is there any difference between thought and attitude? Yes, Ravi. Thought is what? Thought is a flippant emotion or a flippant idea. Flippant means it's coming and it can go. It's more like a breeze of idea. Whereas attitude is what? Attitude is, there is logic, there is rational, there is belief, plus there is emotion, which along with past experiences is manifesting into your tendency. The tendency you possess to react upon a situation. All right. So it's not a thought. And Ravi, again, that motivates me to ask, how regular have you been with the sessions? Have you missed the sessions in chunks and pieces? Okay. So if you have missed the sessions in chunks and pieces, then only this kind of dissonance can happen. Because from day one, I am repeating how attitude comes into existence. Its cognition means based on what? Facts. Okay. The facts of the situation plus emotion. So cognition plus fact creates value. Then past experiences, all of it clubbed together influences our tendency. What is tendency? Tendency is attitude. So our attitude or our tendency towards a situation, person, thing is not out of the blue. It is based on certain facts, it is based on certain feelings, it is based on certain experiences. That's why cognitive, affective and behavioral segments are components of attitude when we speak of it, right? Whereas when we speak of a thought, thought is what? I feel like eating an ice cream, thought. I feel like going for a vacation. Thought. I feel like going for a nice swim in a like huge infinity pool whereby no one is there to disturb. So that's like thought. Thought is like what? It's like a like we can say just a breeze of emotion coming and going. That's not there. Attitude will have an inclination of how it is going to influence your behavior. All right. So yes, there can be two Ravis. Agreed. There can be two Ravis. So one of the Ravi has raised the question: is there any difference between thought and attitude? Okay. So how perception is related to attitude? We'll take that up. Okay. Perception, if you remember, Soumya, connected with the like segments which I have already discussed related to stereotypes, prejudices. Right. We'll be taking this up again later. Give me an opportunity to teach. If I get an opportunity to teach and complete, then you'll come across perception also. Okay. Now, so with respect to this, you all can consider that individuals are more likely to base their decisions on their attitudes when they are like when there is pressure of time. So when there is pressure of time, so what happens? You have the natural tendencies you possess, you fall towards that. That's the condition. Again, qualities of attitude, I have already discussed it, like weak attitude, strong attitude, right? So discussed in the graph. So discussed with the graph. So weak positive, weak negative, strong positive, strong negative. I've already discussed it with a lot of examples. So you can connect it with this given dimension. Sargun, though I'll explain this question that you are asking, what is platonic relationship? But I hope you understand that the question is simply out of box and has nothing to do with attitude. It's like you are reading some other news article or you are coming suddenly from outside, seeing a word and you're like, "Acha, chalo, ma'am, class chal rahi, pooch hi lete hain that what is the meaning of platonic attitude?" Because lecture is going on and here is the encyclopedia sitting in front of me. So any random question can be raised, even if it is not connected to the core chapter, right? Platonic relationship, well, Shargun is associated with a relationship which is more, I would say, um, not existing in reality. It is more associated with some idealistic condition or more like a condition whereby the relationship is like on a dreamy plank, on like we can say on an imaginative plank. So the imaginative plank on which the relationship is creates a platonic relationship, means you believe that it is there. Like for example, if someone is saying, I love Krishna and I'm married to Krishna, or I love Jesus, I'm married to Jesus, so such a person is in a platonic relationship with God, because the physical manifestation of it is not there, it is lacking. All right, I hope you are getting an idea related to it. Metaverse, yeah, in metaverse also people get into platonic relationships of conflict and like love. Pressure of time defines attitude, just like scarcity of resources defines economy. No, because scarcity of resources may threaten an economy, whereas when an individual is pressurized and in pressure conditions, the decision that a person is taking is the actual surfacing of the attitude, the true attitude that the person possesses. All right. Okay. The word is from case study related to attitude. Okay. So you were reading that material and from there you did not understand a word and you raised. All right. All right. No problem. Okay. Now Good, you shared that also. So now the another segment which we all can connect with is, can strong behavior also influence attitude? When you're possessing a very strong behavior, behavior is what? Manifestation, the action. Okay, so behavior is the action part. It is, we can say, the manifestation part, what you are doing, right? So can the action part influence our thought process? Thought process means the attitude, the inclination, the tendency that we possess. So first example that I can give you is from New Zealand, and in New Zealand there is haka dance performed by the rugby team. Okay, so it is a very aggressive kind of dance. Okay, when we are speaking of it, so they are like, they hoot, they cheer, they make loud noises, they take up certain steps which are associated with a conflict mode. There are steps which are more like a warrior mode. So, and making those noises, so that mentally prepares them for an aggressive game like that of rugby, because you understand that rugby is quite an aggressive game. So the person gets prepared for this given possibility when we are speaking of it, because you have to, you can also hold the opponent, you can pull down the opponent on the floor. So some kind of aggression is needed while performing the game. All right, so they perform that specific haka dance to get into the fierceness of the game, to like exercise that fierceness which is required for the game. Similarly, you can see like tennis players also, while playing, they sometimes make noises like who, ha. So by making those noises of who and ha, they create like pressure on the opponent, that I am being aggressive and I can intimidate you. You will lose the game due to my fierceness, due to my power, due to my aggression. Okay, so making those noises are also indicative of, like we can say, exercising a behavior which is also manifesting their own attitude. So the moment the person is making noises like who, ha, so the person is also rousing with confidence. The person is able to, like, cope up mentally, that I can work it out. Yes, you can consider it Ravindra Jadeja, like swinging the bat like sword. So it's like, I am in the warrior mode, I am ready to fight. So like that, you can think of it. Yes, there are people who take a lot of sloganeering, religious sloganeering before attacking. So that's also there. You can also think of, we can say, this example with respect to people wearing religious symbols during festivals, like different types of clothings or jewelry or caps or shoes, anything of that sort. So that is to develop a festival like attitude. So when you are wearing those clothes, and even if you are sullen, so or little sad or little depressed, but as you start dressing up, as you start decorating, as you start putting colors, preparing different kind of food items, slowly and steadily the momentum builds up. The attitude starts aligning with the environment, with the, we can say, festivity. So that is the festival attitude that gets created. Or we can say on Independence Day, when people are like wearing the national flag, like little symbol of the national flag, or we can say they have put flags on their windows or cars or here and there. So that is like exercising their, we can say, patriotic attitude. So the behavior is strengthening the patriotic attitude. Or you can see this Munna Bhai MBBS example which is put over here. So in this Munna Bhai MBBS example, I can give this example. So Sanjay Dutt, he had a negative attitude towards non-violence. He did not believe in non-violence in the movie. But as he starts practicing Gandhian values, which he calls Gandhigiri, so as he starts practicing Gandhian values, bit by bit, from just faking it, okay, faking that specific behavior, and like not having it in his heart, slowly and steadily it starts influencing his attitude. So towards the end of the movie, we see that he like declines the opportunity to become a proper full MBBS doctor, despite the fact that his friend is ready to write the paper, and this time happily, not out of fear. And despite the fact that, like, there are other like situations in which he has helped others in healing through psychosomatic healing, but still he realizes that he doesn't know the technical nuances and know-how of medicine. So it is unethical for him to become a doctor, and he declines to become a doctor. So you can see that it is like, and he cannot hurt people by not having the right set of knowledge. So when we are talking about behavior impacting the attitude, yes, over the time period, when you keep enacting, like many a times people say, oh, how to study, I'm like, keep studying, keep studying, even if you're not enjoying, even if you're feeling tired, even if you're feeling bored, just put a stopwatch, try to walk and study, try to sit in a specific posture and study, try to lie down and study, do all kinds of things, eat something and study, but notice what is it that is motivating you to stick for a longer time period. I used to put stopwatches, that okay, till this time period that the alarm rings, I don't have to move from my chair, come what may, even if there is a bomb blast or an earthquake, I'll not stir from my chair, come what may. And that is how bit by bit stamina to sit and study increases from 1 to 2 hour, 2 to 3 hour, 3 to 4 hour, 4 to 7 hours, 7 to 10 hours, 10 to 14 hours. So you build your stamina bit by bit like that. How? So first you put it in your behavior, and slowly and steadily it starts influencing your attitude, your personality, your thought process. Okay, so you start aligning with the possibility from within. Okay, I can give you one more example associated with it. So there was a focus group which was put to test. So what happened was that in this social experiment, a dramatics company, like from external aspect it looked like a dramatics company, so it said that we are open to hire people for a drama, for a play. So a lot of artists they came, so their audition was taken, and one question was asked, are they into smoking and how badly they are into the habit of smoking. So few of them declared, yes, I'm into smoking. Some of them said, yes, they have been quite into the habit of smoking. So those people were hired, and then they were like supposed to behave like cancer patients struggling for life. And as they are struggling for life, they had to enact certain scenes or situations, how their body is crumbling and how they are suffering. And this on the loop was the practice session was done throughout the day, and this practice continued for 7 days. So after 7 days, when it was asked what is their attitude towards smoking, that attitude had converted into negative, because when they were imitating the role of a sick person suffering from lung cancer, that started impacting their thought process, their perspectives, their ideas associated with how they will cope up with the given situation. All right. So just like putting a smile even when one is sad, yes, faking it till you make it, that's the thing. So first you'll fake and later on you'll start enjoying. So that's what. Those people who are like, oh, I can't listen to a romantic song because of a heartbreak, like keep listening to it on a loop and say that these are just the words, and anyone can just exercise a sense of emotion towards these words. And if I shout out the words lose their rhythm. Like a very sad song, if like sung with a very happy mode, the very attitude towards the song can change. Or if there is a very happy song and if sung with a very sad mode, the attitude towards the song can change. So when you start having fun with the lyrics, you dissociate from the emotion of the past associated with that lyrics, and you enjoy literature for literature, song for song, the music for music, the tune for tune, without necessarily adding caustic emotions to it. Okay, so that's what, right? Now, when we are speaking of this again, attitude with respect to behavior and how behavior influences the attitude, you can also think of Ravana. You know, Ravana, when he was trying to woo Sita, he tried all methods, giving her silk and inviting her to become the head queen, like giving her fruits, like good food items to eat, all that, which she kept refusing and saying that my husband will come and he shall relieve me from the given situation. So one of the courtiers encouraged Ravana that why don't you dress up and go like Rama and speak like Rama, to which Ravana protested. It's like, how can I do that? If I speak like Rama and I dress up like Rama, I won't be able to woo Sita, because then I'll start thinking like Rama. Because if I'm enacting, behaving like that, it will impact my attitude. And if I'm thinking like Rama, if I subconsciously also get possessed by the attitude of Rama, I won't be able to look like with lust towards a woman who's not my wife, the way Rama is. So the kind of Rama is a monogamous man, and if I possess his attitude, I won't be able to be attracted or even make an attempt to woo Sita. So that's what behavior impacting our attitude. If we are faking it subconsciously, it will start influencing our thought process when we are speaking of it, right? So I hope all of you are able to understand when we are speaking of behavior influencing our attitude. So we can see that yes, behavior can influence our attitude in a massive way. Okay. So people, they tend to seek consistency in their attitude and behavior. And whenever there is a discrepancy between attitude and behavior, then something must change in order to eliminate or reduce cognitive dissonance. Okay. And that is how we connect this concept with cognitive dissonance, and that's something which we are going to work towards. So cognitive dissonance, what is it? It is a theory in social psychology. It refers to mental conflict that occurs when a person's behavior and beliefs do not align. So person's behavior and beliefs, or we can say attitudes, they do not align. For example, a person is saying, oh, cruelty towards animal is very wrong, one should not kill the animal. Every time an animal is getting killed, look into the eyes of the animal, it is full of so much of fear. It will impact the muscle, the body, like, the existence of the animal, and then you are consuming it, so will it not impact your thought process? All that stuff they will say. So animal cruelty is wrong. Whenever you look at a chicken or a goat or any animal which is getting killed, you can see the restlessness, you can see the challenge associated with the given situation. Okay. But at the same time, the person is like, but yeah, it is tasty also, it is so delicious, I love to eat it. And then an animal is like passing by doing chew chew moo moo, something like that, and the person is like, so I should not kill it. At the same time, when it passes, you're like, oh, but the meat was so tasty when I had eaten last. So something like that when you are speaking of this given dimension of cognitive dissonance. Okay. Again, when we are talking about cognitive dissonance from this perspective, that I am a smoker, and that's like negative, you are aware of it, and smoking causes cancer, that is like a negative emotion that is getting created. So I am a smoker, and the person is feeling that that's the fact about me, my personality. And then when the person thinks that but smoking is bad for health, injurious for health, it causes cancer, so there is a cognitive dissonance happening inside the person. So like, the mental faculty is divided per se. uh, Okay, great, great, Ghulam. If you are doing that, you are keeping your mobile away at night, and you have never done so in last 10 years, but even in the revision process, if you are doing that, the stopwatch method, these little solutions, right now, you are borrowing these insights. All the students, you are borrowing these insights from me, that okay, this is a method through which I can revise very well. A lot of methods you create when you truly align with the preparation, no, your mind guides you to methods. We had, like, in our times, we used to purchase jasta kagaj, which was cheap quality of paper from one of the wholesale markets, because, like, cost effective preparation was also necessary. So, and register pages were very expensive. A4 size pages of like bundle was very expensive. So we used to get like cheap paper, and when we had to practice answer writing, and we used to, and when you have to write an answer 3 times or 4 times to just get the answer fitted in your brain, no confusion, nothing. So and revision becomes very profound when you're writing and revising. Also hand speed increases. You will see that your fingers, they will develop some weird kind of shapes, and a weird kind of we can say there can be like weird kind of structures that can get prepared around your finger, but that is a mark of hard work. And when you do that, you realize that there are some cheaper solutions that you're coming up with. So like we used to practice on rough papers, so once the notes is prepared, key points are prepared, so that's the base notes in good quality paper. And when I have to revise and like for revision, writing is helping. So writing on like rough pages and then throwing those pages, and those pages are the cheap pages, 1/10 the price of actual normal pages, and that's available in wholesale market. So purchasing 20 kgs of rough pages, 4 friends dividing it, and like everyone practicing in their own capacity. So 5 kg, like 2 kgs or 3 kgs of pages, like each person, and you're able to finish it within like a month or two. So that's how. Also, I used to keep chalk. So when I used to practice a lot of things, and I used to be tired sitting on the bed or on the table and chair, so I used to write on the floor with the chalk. and colored chalk, pieces of chalk, and then colored. I used to write it, and once like I was thorough, especially on summer days, and after like the concept was clear, then just wiping it off. So one pocha and everything is gone. So it's like that. So just wiping it off, and like everything becoming a part of the memory. So different tricks, because when you're changing the modes, there was also a board, like a thermocol board. I used to pin things. There was a writing whiteboard on which I used to write things, so that things are more visible other than the maps and sheets and all that. So you have to increase the visibility, you have to increase the audibility, recording in your own voice the concepts which you are unable to memorize, and putting it on loop and listening to it multiple times. It will become a part of your thought process. That's how you start living civil services preparation. When you start living the preparation, you enjoy it, you connect with preparation, you understand the importance of the process as much as the importance of the result. The process is as important as living the result. All right. So that's something which we can speak of. Any exam that you prepare for, align yourself with the wholesome phenomena. It creates breakthroughs, and find your own methods. Your brain will guide you to methods. Oh, let me study like this also. Let me study like that also. So, because you need freshness, concepts, books, materials are quite similar. So to break mundaneness and monotony, you have to do that, like certain fresh methods of revising. Okay. Now, as we are like going ahead with this cognitive dissonance, so we can see this. I'll just give you an idea that people tend to seek consistency in their attitude and behavior. When there is when there is discrepancy between attitude and behavior, I'm just writing A and B, I hope you'll understand, something must change. Something must change in order to in order to eliminate or reduce cognitive dissonance. In order to eliminate or reduce cognitive dissonance. So, what is cognitive dissonance? So, cognitive dissonance is the feeling of discomfort, the feeling of discomfort that results from holding conflicting behavior, that results from holding conflicting behavior, that results from holding conflicting behavior. Now, with respect to this, also understand this feeling of discomfort, this feeling of ayo. So, this feeling of discomfort motivates a person to reduce it. It here means cognitive dissonance. So, to reduce it, which can be done, which can be done in three ways. What are the three ways? So, first is change in behavior. You either change your behavior to reduce the cognitive dissonance, like smoking causes cancer. Better you change your behavior, stop smoking. Or second is ignore the importance of conflict. So, I should eat non-veg or not eat non-veg. So, ignore the importance of conflict that's happening, that oh, such ideas are not so important for me. Or you change your attitude, that this is just not possible, to for everyone to switch to eating vegetarian food because there's not enough grains, and also life and survivability itself is based on violence. Any act of survival, directly or indirectly, gets connected to violence. Whether we are indulging in production of goods and services, whether we are indulging in even breathing, like so many bacteria get killed. That's why you see the Jain monks, they place a placard in front of their face, more like the earlier or ancient version of using a mask or something like that, so that unknowingly also nothing gets killed. So when we are talking about the possibility of alive, being alive, surviving, the very act of being alive will require some or the other kind of assertion of violence, some or the other kind of exploitation of resources. Anyway, so when you are changing your attitude, that is also something which is going to solve your cognitive dissonance. So change in behavior, change in attitude, or ignoring like we can say, ignoring the importance of conflict, the conflict that's happening inside your head, that oh, I should behave in this manner, but I'm unable to behave in this manner. I possess this attitude, but my behavior is not aligned with the attitude. So this is going to create the cognitive dissonance. So do away with the conflict. Okay, that's what. So yes, full dedication is necessary to overcome this when we are speaking of it. All right. So with respect to this answer writing answer question, what is because is not sufficient. I understand something more is needed. The requirement in this regard, how to incorporate more points when there is a lack of clarity in the concept. Revision establishes clarity. When you run through the content by and by and by, you notice how sometimes you are missing keywords, how sometimes the conceptual clarity is not established in a profound manner. It sounds very simple, but who says that simple methods are always manifested? Sometimes simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. So a simple method of revision, if not practiced diligently, creates a lack of clarity or creates poor nature of content in answer writing. That's why I said, first open the books, open the material, and try to find the answer and write it. Once you are thorough with multiple revisions and you have solved some PYQs by drawing the structure of PYQ towards the end of the chapter, you have the smartness now that after revision, if you see a question, you can attempt it afresh without necessarily revisiting the notes or revisiting the like structures of PYQ, because now the concepts are becoming more thorough in the mind. So there will be clarity of concepts. Hence, capability to attempt it will be there. Okay, so yes, here we are talking about internal conflict also, Baldev. When I was talking about cognitive dissonance, so ignore the importance of conflict. So importance of conflict here we implied internal conflict. Okay, that is the conflict between behavior and attitude. Okay, so with respect to this, how fastly um, can you read? No, no, no. I mean, like, you'll develop that with practice. When you study more, then you will develop. But I am not a very fast reader. I'm a slow reader when I'm reading a new content. Only casual things I can read very fast. But when I'm reading a book or something, I delve deep, because that's how you absorb the possibilities. Now, when we are discussing about like attitude, there is another sub component in your chapter that is related to moral attitude. So moral attitude, when we are talking about moral attitude, there are three possibilities associated with moral attitude. First, it is like your general attitude towards morality, how you perceive morality to be. Okay. Second is associated with, when we are speaking of this given dimension, it is associated with, we can say, our attitude. Um, oh, so our attitude, we can consider, which helps in integrating our attitude, which helps in integrating our morals with our actions. Okay, so that can also be considered. And third is attitudes which are based on moral convictions. Moral convictions. So, attitudes which are based on moral convictions. That is also something which we can connect with the dynamics pertaining to attitude. Okay. So, attitudes which are based on moral conviction. So, moral attitude has three versions. One, general attitude towards morality, attitude which is integrated with our morals, and attitude which is based on moral convictions. Convictions means we can say the strong determination, the strong perspective of or ideology that you have developed towards morality. So that is something which we all can connect with. All right. So no problem. All those students who are taking more time to write answer, like Neha, you are saying you take 1 hour to complete an answer, no problem. First time we are getting introduced to the concept, no? So while you are getting introduced to a concept, don't bother much about like the factor of time. First, bother about understanding the concept in totality and practicing more with greater clarity of concept, with greater revision, clarity of concept, and practicing more. Your writing speed will also increase, your capability to recall the content will increase, joining the dots will increase, and so will the speed. 1 hour will very quickly reduce into 45 minutes, then 35 minutes, then 25 minutes, then 20 minutes, then 15. After that, the game will become tedious. You'll see that within 4 5 answers, you have reduced your timing to 15 minutes. But making 15 minute to 11 minute, every single minute is going to cost you another level of revision, clarity, and preparation. Because making the possibility, reducing the possibility of writing one answer in 15 minutes is easy. That you will achieve very quickly. Okay. The game is about reducing a 250 word answer to like 11 minutes and reducing a like 150 word answer to 7 minutes. That's the actual challenge. Writing a 150 word answer in like 12 or 15 minutes, or a 250 word answer in 15 to 20 minutes is possible. Anyone with a regular practice will achieve that. The actual breakthrough is minimizing the time further. Okay. So now with respect to this, when we are seeing that what kind of attitude people have towards morality at large, how people see morality in their lives at large, especially in a developing country like India. So we see that when we are talking about this given dimension, we all can see that many a times we practice morality in words, not in action. Okay. So many times morality is practiced in words, not in action. So, this can be associated with weak positive attitude or neutral attitude or ambiguous attitude towards morality. It is because of weak positive or neutral or ambiguous attitude that we all can associate this given subtopic. Okay, we can associate this given subtopic with the dimension of morality not manifesting in the behavior. So weak positive attitude, where you have that, okay, I should be a person of high morality, you morals are good for life. When we are following morals, we are an upright person, a person of integrity. So you have positive points. At the same time, you feel that by being a person of morality, you are not able to achieve your goals, you're not able to get some extra perks or extra favor, your other needs are like, material needs are not getting fulfilled, your wife or your partner is complaining that only you are the like Harishchandra of this world, or you are the only like, honest officer in this world, something like that is happening. So that is going to create a weak positive attitude. Or there can be a possibility that you have good ideas about morality, but at the same time you have um, like uh, uh, ideas that when morality is not followed, what benefits are involved. So like positives are also there, negative are also there. So that is also going to create that cognitive dissonance or ambiguous attitude, whereby a lot of positives about morality and a lot of negatives also about morality. Okay. So that's also there. Is morality causing success, or is morality causing obstacle? So all those dimensions you are thinking. So it is very popularly said that a man is good only till the time the person is not getting a chance to steal, not getting a chance to become immoral. It is very easy to talk about morality when you are not getting a chance to be immoral, and you have to practice morality anyhow. When you are getting constantly a chance to be immoral, and then against the tide, if you can swim and remain moral, then when you speak about morality, that is what makes the difference. Okay, so it's like the fish is in the water and choosing not to drink it when it is not sanctioned or allocated. So it's like you are an IS officer, all kinds of funds are floating around you, but just because you are morally upright and you are very clear about your moral values, your ideals, your principles, you are not ready to compromise with it. Hence, it is constantly manifesting in your behavior. So why morality is so low or weak, or is in a neutral mode or ambiguous mode in a third world country like India? What's the reason? Because morality in India is in transition. Okay, in third world countries we can see it is in transition. We don't know what to follow. Okay, we don't know. We sometimes don't know what to follow. And sometimes when we don't know what to follow, that is also something which impacts our existence. Like we can see equality versus inequality when we reflect upon this given subsegment. So morality is in transition mode when we are talking about it. So what is equality and what is inequality when we are speaking of the same? So with respect to this, we all can see the component associated with this, that like let's say it was introduced as a constitutional value, right? Equality was introduced as a constitutional value. So there was a top down approach whereby people were not trained to exercise equality in their lives. Inequality was, like we can say, a way of life. It was a way of life. It was their a part of their cultural practice, manifesting itself in on the basis of caste, religious, regional, gender discrimination. So right. So when you are exercising, we can consider the component of morality in in your manifestations, in your practice. So when we are speaking of it, when you're open, when you're exposed to the ideals of equality as a constitutional value, that we should exercise social, economic, and political justice. We should exercise equality towards all citizens. So this is something which is associated with our constitutional value. This is something associated with our, like we can say, the values which we are inheriting from the, we can say, the constitution per se, that at all times all individuals ought to be treated equally. The problem occurs when what we have been practicing for centuries together, we have not broken free from that habit. When we continue with that habit, like for example, when we are talking about the component of inequality, okay, so when we are thinking of inequality and when we reflect upon the ways of our life, the cultural practices in our day to day life, uh, i- different forms of inequality are present, and we are okay about it, or we are not protesting about it in the name of family honor, in the name of culture, in the name of not like we can say questioning the seniors, whatever it is. So that is something associated with inequality. So our morality is in like a transition. On one hand, we are thinking that we have to follow the constitutional values, the moral values. On the other hand, those values can be in conflict with our culture, our regular practices, day to day life behavior. So There is lack of clear moral structure in general in the society. There can be contrasting values existing in the society. Hence, you can see that morality in India is weak or neutral. All right. So that is something which all of you can connect with. Maybe the battery is growing weak, like Payal. All right. So, with respect to this, I hope you are able to connect with this given dimension. So, further, if someone is saying that anyone can share their feelings with you, then what is weak in me? My morality, my attitude? Uh, Anyone can share their feelings with you. I think that's amazing because that is associated with empathy. You come across as a compassionate person. That's why people can trust you, and that's why anyone can share the feelings with you. So that's, I think, an honorable thing that you are able to come across as a trustworthy person, because not everyone feels comfortable to share their thoughts or opinions or insights with others. Now, so this is something, this component associated with our general attitude towards morality. So when we are talking about moral attitude and our general attitude towards morality, this is the explanation. Now comes the second component, our attitude, which helps in integrating our morals with our actions. Now we are starting with this second component, then the third component. So attitudes helping in integrating our morals with our actions. The second subcomponent we can see. So what attitude can help in integrating our morals with our actions? Like attitude pertaining to reverence. Like for example, the respect we show to the prime minister or the president or the principal of the school, that is reverence. When there is a great feeling of respect, or there is a looming sense of fear also. So fear tingled with, mixed with a lot of respect, is called reverence. Or when we are practicing veracity, veracity, so that is also how we can see attitude manifests itself in our morals and action. So veracity is what? Telling truth at all times, exercising truth at all times. When you are cross checking the information before believing it, so you are exercising veracity. When you are not lapping up fake news, when you are a person who's exercising veracity, you will always cross check the information before connecting with it. Now see these words, veracity, reverence. Those students who don't know these words, are you not supposed to memorize it to the point that it becomes a part of your vocabulary? And when it is a part of your vocabulary, it will like make your expression so profound, isn't it? Again, you can think of responsibility. So when we speak of responsibility, we know that it is associated with duty. Faithfulness, faithfulness is associated with strong, intense belief, unconditional trust. When we speak of it, right, complete trust. Goodness, when we speak of goodness, what is goodness? So here goodness is a subjective concept. So here is a definition associated with goodness, what Yudhishthira said. So he said that actively helping those who are in need and passively not harming others. That is goodness. Okay. So the idea of goodness, when we are speaking of it from the perspective of what we can say Yudhishthira says. Again, the idea of goodness is also explained in Islam. Islam discusses three stages of goodness. When a person is in the first stage of goodness, the person tries to stand for their loved ones, their benefactors, like parents, like children, like wife or husband. So, when you are being good at the first stage, okay, so the first stage of goodness connects you to the possibility of being nice to your loved ones. Then comes the second stage. The second stage is in anticipation of goodness. Why are you being good? If someone is being asked, so the person says that I am being good so that God is watching over me and my karma is duly compensated. So if I am good, somehow something nice will happen and good things will start happening to me. So that's second stage of goodness, when you are being good in anticipation of goodness coming your way, good things happening your way. Okay. Then comes third stage of goodness. In the third stage of goodness, that is associated with unconditional goodness. Why you are being good? Because that is who you are. You are being good because that's how you know how to behave, you know how to exist. So that is associated with unconditional, we can say, unconditional exercising of goodness or regard towards goodness. All right. So I hope you are understanding this given segment. Like Mahatma Gandhi spoke of Gandhi's talisman that helped the poor person. Whoever is the poorest person, recall the face and determine your actions how it is going to help that person. Remember all that. Again, Constitution also speaks of performing our fundamental duties, and through the performance of our fundamental duties we are like exercising goodness per se, right? Again, when we are speaking of religion, when you are following the religious commandments, then also we all can see that a person, when the religion says that you will be a good person when you are doing this, this and this, so that is also a way how goodness gets introduced in our lives when we are talking about it. Simultaneously, the third segment, which we had discussed, if you can remember, what is moral attitude? So, third was attitude which is based on moral convictions. So, let us understand what is moral conviction. So, attitude that is based on our moral conviction. So, I hope this is now going to like explain the students. Like one of the student was asking, ma'am, what is conviction? So I was like, have some faith and patience, we'll discuss about it. So here is the idea of conviction as we are discussing about it. Okay. How helping passively? How helping passively? When you are not killing someone, then you are helping the person passively. When you are not hitting someone, being harmful towards someone, like scheming against someone, then also you are a nice person, then also you are exercising goodness. So that's also how you are helping the person passively. Benefactor part again, uh, what happens to the students when I explain, Baba? So benefactor is for parents. Suppose you are earning and doing like purchasing phone for your parents, furniture for your parents, medicines for your parents. So that's how you are benefactor. When you are purchasing goods for your partner, maybe a watch, maybe like some food item, whatsoever. So partner towards your children. So those who are your dependents are your benefactors. All right, Himanshi. Gandhiji's talisman, Shivaji, just Google search it, because Gandhiji's talisman I have discussed at least 3 times in this session or 4 times. It is also given in the introduction of NCRT and it is also given in the introduction of IGNU. So you can just read it. You just like Google search Gandhiji's talisman, you will find it. That what he is saying, whenever a person is in an ethical dilemma, what to do or what not to do in a situation, how Gandhiji's talisman helps. Now, or SME, please copy paste Gandhiji's talisman for Shivaji. So, is it only divine accountability that makes a person hold strongly the rope of morality and values when it is most hard, bitter, and unwelcoming? It depends on the inner chemistry of the person, Ashmi. You might not be a very religious person, but for a person who's deeply religious, more than anything else impacting the person, the divine intervention or the religious books may impact the thought process of the person most profoundly. Because it is written like this, I will behave like this. Okay. So you need to understand the inner chemistry of people. Anticipation, hope when you are expecting something, in expectation of something. All right. So vocabulary, students work on your vocabulary. Every time you are coming across a new new set of information, try to just memorize those words. This is the minimal standard of vocabulary that a civil services aspirant should possess, nothing less than this. Okay. Is framing answer with help of our notes is useful? Yes, yes, Shravani. If you don't trust your notes, what else will you trust? The notes is fixing all your basics. 90% of your theory and technical insights gets fixed by your notes. So what else will you trust if not this? Okay, now, so the third aspect, that attitudes are based on moral convictions. So attitudes are based on moral conviction, we can see, because attitudes, they are based on cognitive component. You remember attitude is based on cognitive, that is the belief systems, right? So beliefs are also beliefs along with values. So this is like CAB model, remember cognitive. It was like how we think, remember how we think. So that is associated with our beliefs. So attitude is based on our beliefs, our cognitive component. Like, for example, our cognitive component says we should exercise gender equality. Okay, so we should exercise gender equality. So this is the belief system, and this belief system is coming from not practicing gender discrimination. When we do away with gender discrimination, that is how it is impacting our beliefs as well. Okay. Now pay attention to this given aspect. No one should get confused or later on ask, ma'am, please repeat what is moral, amoral, non-moral. So they see this moral, and then difference between amoral or non-moral. Moral, amoral. Amoral, a person who has the potential to learn about morality but has no sense about morality, like a child. There is a difference between immoral. A person who is immoral knows about morals, knows about moral behavior, but chooses to, but chooses to go corrupt. Okay, that's immoral. When you're choosing to go corrupt, when you're choosing to do away with moral behavior, when you're not following the moral behavior, okay, that is immoral. What is amoral when we speak of it? So, amoral means when there is nothing to do with morality, nothing to do with morality, nothing to do with morality. So, I can explain this with two possibilities when we are speaking of this given dimension, nothing to do with morality. So there can be two examples. For example, a child who is not aware, who is not aware. So that child will also be considered to be in a amoral state. Another example can also be given. There are certain things which have nothing to do with morality. Okay, so situations or things that have nothing to do with morality, that have nothing to do with morality. So situations or things that have nothing to do with morality. For example, when we are discussing about this given possibility, okay, we all can reflect upon like some core segments, like I can say with respect to this given area, um, sitting on a chair, sitting on a chair, or traveling to another city. So these acts don't have any morality attached to it. Okay, these are just normal neutral acts. Okay, they have nothing to do with the concerns of morality. So they will be called amoral or non-moral. Okay, so that's the difference. Moral is associated with pertaining to morality, amoral, nothing to do with morality. As simple as that. Okay. Again, with respect to this, when we are talking about it, potential to learn, but is not written. I've just written potential to learn, but chooses to go corrupt. Chooses to go corrupt. That's immoral. Is it like tough to read? Chooses to go corrupt. Huh? Labdhi. So, when we are talking, the person is knowing about morality, potential to learn, but is not aware of it. That is child. The child can learn. Okay, the child has the potential to learn, but yet not enrolled to it, yet not aware about what is right, what is wrong. The child is in an amoral stage. Okay. Now, with respect to this, when we are talking about it, we can also see that when we are talking about morality, or when we are talking about like qualities of morality, so qualities of morality. So what are the qualities of morality or a moral behavior? Okay, moral behavior. So first is universal. Morals are universal. The idea of right and wrong are universal. I mean, I may like a different flavor of ice cream. My friend may like a different flavor of ice cream. That is not associated with morality. That is amoral, an amoral act. But I should be an honest person. I should not exercise any form of discrimination. Okay, that is associated with universal perception of exercising humanity, equality, justice towards all. Okay, so morals are universal. Okay, I hope you are able to understand this given dimension. Yes, eating food is an like we can consider an amoral behavior, but when you are maliciously eating food on the bed by acting lazy, even if you there is a potential of dropping the food on the bed, and that will increase the burden on your mother to clean the sheet, you are not going to even help in taking off the sheet and cleaning the sheet, then this kind of like laziness and this kind of laid back attitude and this kind of not being responsible towards maintaining sanitation and hygiene and increasing trouble for others will be an immoral behavior. Fine, Prashant? So, weren't morals personal? Yes, morals are personal, but that's how they influence our personal attitudes. That's how they influence our behavior. Isn't behavior individual? Isn't behavior personal? Right? Vaibhav, I hope you are understanding this again. uh, we can say that unknowingly committing mistakes and doing things, well, unknowingly is not something. You are being casual or not alert and saying that unknowingly I did a mistake. If someone was doing the same to you, then was it unknowing for you? If you were washing the sheet and cleaning the bed sheet and your friends come and spread newspaper and they're, let's eat here, and you're like, the dining table is there, let's engage there, and they are like, no, no, we'll sit here only. Like, if the sheet goes dirty, will you clean it? So when it comes to your own self, you have all knowingness and alertness. When it comes to the mother working, then all the unknowingness comes. So that's not morality. Morality also engages you with a sense of responsibility, a sense of reflection. Anyway, so second segment, when we are talking about the given possibility of it, so it is associated with strong emotions, strong emotions. So moral attitudes, because they are based on the sense of right and wrong, right? So moral attitudes are based on very strong emotions, very strong emotions. Okay, and we can also see that this is associated with, like, for example, when we are speaking of it, strong emotions, like suppose, for example, beef eating for few individuals. Okay, beef eating for few individuals can be highly immoral. So there is a strong emotion attached to it. How can you eat a cow? I mean, any animal is dying, and killing any animal is unethical if you are going by the principles of it. Life of a like a horse cannot become more precious than that of a donkey. Life of a donkey cannot become more precious than that of a cow. Life of a cow cannot become more precious than that of a goat. Life of a goat cannot become more precious than that of a like chicken when we speak of it. So when you have strong emotions of sense of right and wrong, that is also a part of, we can say, qualities of morality. So morality is associated with very strong emotion. It also leads to very strong motivation when we speak of it. Strong motivation because you have a tendency to, we can consider, profess and propagate, profess and propagate. So you preach others, this is how you should do, this is how you, so you have a tendency to preach about it. Like, for example, you are preaching people about gender equality. Okay, gender equality. Okay, when you start preaching others about it, others about it, because you are guided by a strong moral attitude, because your strong moral attitude is associated with the principle of equality. All right, I hope you are understanding this bit, right? So I'm just handling the session till this bit. I hope the basic concepts taught so far are easy and you are able to connect with these basic concepts and insights associated with it. We will be continuing with do we need a strong moral attitude or not. So you can read this. In fact, you can just read it as a homework. This is very easy, so that when I explain it, it makes sense to all of you. Okay. And simultaneously we'll continue with political attitudes tomorrow onwards. So political attitude, persuasion, okay, social influence, these are the last bits left. We will be able to finish it hopefully in the first half, and then we will be able to take up the next chapter, emotional intelligence, after it. All right. So, with respect to this, why knowing about morality person becomes immoral? Because when you are aware what is the right thing to do and still you are committing the mistake, that means you are consciously being like bad, consciously creating a nuisance. That's why it is immoral, right? So, yes, morality is based on individual idea. Definitely, Abhishek. This is what I taught in the first session. And all of you need to understand that morality is not coming in the thin air. We are getting our sense of right and wrong from the society, from the ethics, from the values. So it's not like I think equality should be practiced because I was born with that idea. I was born with only one idea, the animal instincts: poop, eat, beat people, get my things done. That's it. That's how people are born. Sense of right and wrong which we develop within ourselves, it is influenced by the societal standards of right and wrong, which is ethics and values influences morality. Why are you memorizing concepts like dabba or like enclosed boxes? Why don't you understand that these are things with which we are surrounded by? So don't be rigid. How is it that morality can get connected to the possibility of influencing behavior? Because it is influenced by the societal standards of right and wrong. One should be honest. We learn from the society. It's that just that to what degree we exercise honesty, it depends on our moral sense. How, till what extent we will be an honest or trustworthy person depends on our moral insights. Got it? Okay. So Abhishek, I hope that's getting clear. So yes, Mrityunjay, that's there. The idea of life of an animal, does it vary as per the like size? That's something which is also a matter of great debate. We can consider that. All right, so SME, please support me with the questions of the students, because now it will get late because it's already 8:35. You know, there is jam outside, and yesterday I reached home at 10 and again got up at 4:15. So if I entertain other questions, that will delay my I would say traveling on road. So just forgive me. I need to just wrap up the session at my end. We can take up the question tomorrow. All the questions and doubts you have, you can like pose it tomorrow. Meanwhile, you can raise the questions. SME will be there to support you with your answers. All right. So thank you and good night. Take care, all of you.